All right. Hello, hello. This is the Town of Lake Park, Florida Commission Budget Workshop for Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. The time is now 5:11 p.m. Can I please have the clerk take the roll call?
Commissioner Linden,
Here.
Commissioner O'Rourke, Commissioner Thomas, Vice Mayor Hensley,
Here.
Mayor Mashad.
Here. Can we all please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, please be seated. This is the first of our workshops in regards with the budget. I want to welcome those that are here tonight, as well as staff. Thank you for being here, and again, thank you for all you do. Next, we have a special presentation and report on the FY 2026 budget, proposed general fund revenues and enterprise funds, i.e. stormwater, sanitation, marina, and I will move the floor over to Barbara Gold, who will begin her presentation. Oh, actually, Town Manager, did you have something to say?
Could I start?
My apologies, Town Manager.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor and members of the Commission, I want to say thank you for this opportunity to sit with you all, talk about, some of the ideas on what we're looking for within the next year's budget. When I was hired it's not even been 7 months, it's a little bit ago, it seems like. One of the directives that you guys gave was we wanted to have a cleaner budget process. Have a document that was a little cleaner, easier to read, and of course more transparent for our public. And that's something that we've worked hard on. And really, before I turn it over to Barbara, I just want to, of course, introduce Barbara. You all know, some of the public may not, but Barbara's been a long-time assistant finance director here and was recently promoted to the finance director. So I tasked her and with leading that charge and working through this and being more defined and having a more clear budget. And I just want to say, Barbara, thank you for the efforts that you're making and that you've made to get us to this point. There are still some glitches. We're working through them, but we're going to do our best that as we continue going forward, we'll be able to answer all your questions. And hopefully a lot of the justification will answer your questions maybe in advance of even these meetings, but also the public's questions. So with that, I want to say, thank you, Barbara, and take it away.
And before you begin, I just want to echo the Town Manager's sentiments. When you brought me the book, I told you when you brought it to me that it was very well outlined and a lot more clear to digest than in previous years. So again, thank you for that.
Good evening. Barbara Gould, Finance Director. As a follow-up to what the Town Manager said, we'd like at the end of this process for some feedback on what we could do to make this a little better next year. If there's something you didn't like, so that we can continue to improve the product and make it easier for all of us to understand. Okay, so welcome. This is the Town of Lake Park Commission Workshop for the fiscal year 26 preliminary proposed budget. We're bringing to you tonight the general fund revenues, the enterprise funds of marina, stormwater, and sanitation. So we've got a few slides. You've got your detail there, and with questions whenever you've got them. Okay? So tonight, in this fiscal year 26 proposed budget, again, you've got those particular items that we're showing tonight. We've listed some important dates for you, just as a reminder. So we're all the way up to the first budget workshop on tonight, August 5th. The second budget workshop we will need to schedule. The CRA board will meet September 8 to consider its budget, and that's also the date of our first public hearing. Our second public hearing on the budget will be September 18, and then we'll move forward with the paperwork that the property appraiser and the tax collector everybody needs to be complete. Some important major assumptions and factors. The proposed millage rate is recommended to remain consistent from fiscal year 24 at 5.1 mils. That's expected to generate $6,269,639. Right now in this budget, we're proposing a salary increase of 3% merit and 1.5% COLA. Just as an aside, since you've got a millage number there, the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office annual expenditure will rise 3% to $4,061,845 this year. The Palm Beach County Property Appraiser expected property valuation increase was 9.11% to $108,037,570, which put us in the top 10 of the county. It's expected to result in new ad valorem revenue to the town based upon increase in valuation in 24 of $467,191. The town sees $172,803 of those dollars, and the CRA will get the remaining $295,108. Just as a reminder, this is the first year that the CRA is the expanded CRA. And so more money will end up with the CRA than it will in the general fund because we've taken an area of town and shifted it into the CRA. For 26, our proposed general fund revenues, we've got some highlights of some big ones. So you've got the ad valorem taxes, and I'm showing you 22, 23, 24, and 25, this current fiscal year, as well as the budgeted. So you can see the funds have increased over years. And then out of that money, we have to give the CRA their tax increment. So I've got those numbers for you, and you can see that the 26 number has grown quite a bit. And again, that's because of the expanded area. So the last section is the available ad valorem dollars to be spent on general fund expenditures. And this year it's going to be $4,257,342, which is just slightly less than last year, again, because of the expanded CRA. The expanded CRA includes various properties along Silver Beach and up through 10th Court. Did I say that right? Something like that. And so moving those to the CRA decreased our baseline for this year, which is why you see the total amount of funds going to the general fund as slightly less after we take care of the CRA portion. Here I've listed some of our major revenues over the last couple of years, not all of them. And you can see in a lot of instances, the state revenues, like the revenue sharing and the half-cent sales tax, there's not huge amounts of increases, and in some cases, very, very minimal. We are still waiting more information on the state because they were late in passing their budget. They are late in doing their projections on how much municipalities can expect. Right now, we've only heard about the state revenue sharing and the half-cent sales tax. We don't know anything about the communication tax or some of the other smaller funds that we receive from them. Licenses and permits is a very large source of revenue for us, as well as charges for services, and you see those two numbers near the bottom. We added the American Rescue Plan funds. There are no dollars available left this year, but they were a major source of revenue back in 21-22 when the monies first started to be spent. Other funds were spent in storm water as well as the marina, so that's why you don't see the entire amount of the money that we received there. Before I go on to the enterprise funds, we have questions about some of the revenue numbers? Yes?
Commissioner Linden.
Thank you. I'm just curious. One thing, this is great to do it this way. I like the small bites versus the huge book that you can really carry.
And hopefully a little larger print.
I understand the COLA and merit. The COLA 1.5
Yes, it could be fluctuating. The maximum amount of merit somebody can earn is 3%. On their anniversary, they go through a review where they self-review, and then their supervisor reviews. They meet, it's scored, and based upon the scoring, you can get 3% or less. You can get nothing, but we don't have those kind of employees.
Mr. Commissioner, also, this is part of our collective bargaining agreement. So it's, when that was approved not long ago, the 3-year contract provided for 3%, up to a 3% merit for each of the 3 years of the contract. So what we did was we budgeted, so, because we expect everyone to get it, but not everyone will, most likely. So we do budget for the full amount.
And I believe the percentages were discussed with the union, correct?
Excuse me?
The percentages were discussed with the
The
union.
3% was already approved, the 1.5%. Again, we're putting that in tentatively at this time. We still need to, make sure that when we see the state numbers where we're exactly at, and then we'll have to go to the union and and they'll need to ratify that number. We'll have to do a reopener into the contract to agree on the cost of living number. So, and then they'll have to take a vote, and then we'll have to bring it back to you.
All right, so it's, there's my voice, similar to the ad valorem where we put a ceiling on it at 5.1. So we could not exceed the 3% or the 1.5. Merit or COLA.
The COLA, if that's approved by, included in the budget, approved through the union, and then brought back to the commission for approval, that's straight, everyone would get that, and they would get that October 1st. The merit is based on their anniversary date, and that would be, again, like Barbara said, based on their performance evaluation. So we have an evaluation where they evaluate themselves, the supervisor evaluates them, they're provided with, we're working to provide SMART goals, and then we look to grow from there. But it is up to 3%. Doesn't mean that everyone will get it, but we anticipate and hope that everyone does.
All right, for next year, what I disliked about this, and it's the only thing, other than I love the way it was laid out, so much easier to read and so forth, I didn't see salaries across there at all for all employees.
Right, because we haven't brought the general fund to you.
I'm sorry, Barbara.
We haven't brought the general fund expenditures to you. So in the marina, stormwater and sanitation, there is a sheet in there with salaries for those staff. It should be like the third page.
Yeah, it's like in a small,
and I tried to make it
smaller print. It's like a
Oh, that
smaller
was that
print.
tiny print.
Yeah, the tiny
Yeah,
piece.
but
The
it's
tiny
bigger, it's
print.
bigger in the revised.
Okay.
I shrunk columns, I hid more things, I tried to make it so it would be a little bit more readable.
Okay.
And so you've got each position, it'll tell you whether it's a vacant or not,
That's
what its current salary is today, and then the proposed merit, the proposed COLA, and then you'll see its expenditure, the expenses, retirement, health insurance, dental, vision. Anybody who doesn't take health insurance is offered an opt-out, which is 40% of whatever the health insurance number ends up at, because it's a savings to us for not taking the health insurance because they have access to it someplace else.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just want to state for the record, Commissioner Thomas is in attendance.
Present.
I
So,
think,
Mr. Mayor, are there any revenues that you'd like to discuss and go through right now? And then we can go into the other funds.
Does anybody
Barbara
have-
can finish your presentation after
anybody have
this.
any other questions on this section when it comes to the revenue?
Yeah, I wanted you to, sorry.
Vice Mayor.
I wanted to go back a slide to, I think it's I think actually the end of the American Rescue Plan Fund.
Yeah.
The last part you stated that that we don't have any for the upcoming year, correct?
Right, because it was a two-tranche payout. We received the first one back in '21, and it was $2.1 million. And then a year later, we got the second payout, another $2.1 million. We chose to use it as revenue replacement. So there were specific things you couldn't use it for, like matching a federal grant. You couldn't use it to solve your underfunded pension plan problem, which we don't have, but you could use it for capital improvements.
Yeah.
And we did some things at the marina. You could use it for policing, and we did. We spent dollars with the sheriff's office. It's because it saved general fund revenues for something else. We were required to encumber or obligate those funds by December 24. And we're required to spend them by the end of 26. There's a couple of dollars left that are encumbered, but that's it.
Thank you.
Can I also add, those funds, when we weren't spending them, before we decided how to spend them, they were invested, and so they were earning interest. And that gets spent in the same fashion.
Just a quick question. Did any of the ARPA funds were used to do improvements? There were improvements here in Town Hall as well, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions in this section?
Are we just on the general?
Just on the general. Do you
Okay.
have any questions? you'd
I
like
do.
to- Okay. Commissioner
Okay.
Thomas.
I'm sorry to be so late.
Good evening.
I'm back on my real job that actually pays a salary.
We appreciate you as well as the
My
rest of the school
commentary,
board.
okay, thank you. So there are a couple of things. It's okay.
She was saying.
Talk into the mic.
There you go.
Okay.
The mic monitor had you.
Okay, I apologize having to go all the way back, but there's just some explanations that I've just highlighted through that I just wanted to, some understanding on it.
Please.
And in lieu of calling the town manager, I wanted it in a public forum so that so we have transparency. Okay? Okay, so one of the things I had questioned was the business tax receipts. Okay, and I need some clarity on this. As of this year, my understanding is that business tax receipts were no longer in existence, okay? And so I wanted to know, what are we referring to when we talk about this account, when we have it budgeted for $405,000, dollars for this upcoming year, if in fact we're not going to be collecting business tax receipts?
Yes, good evening. Nadia DiTomaso, Community Development Director. In follow-up to the Commissioner is correct. In follow-up to the legislative update presentation that we received, we did have the Town Attorney's Office look into that legislation that was mentioned in that presentation. And at this time, it has been determined that legislation does not impact our local business tax receipt fees. We are still able to continue collecting them, and because of that, the revenue has been included in next year's proposed
So
budget.
what determines what communities will and what communities don't?
That legislation does not apply to municipal business tax receipts.
Okay, so this is and just so that I understand, like occupational licenses? Are we referring to that? No, this is not that, what we know as business tax receipts? No? Or is this related to inventory, where, say, a business has X amount of dollars in inventory and we have it, we get a percentage of what that inventory is?
I
What
see
is
that
this?
the town attorney has pulled his mic.
Occupational licenses is the old term for business tax receipts.
Right.
Inventory is part of some categories of businesses. So some businesses get taxed based on their inventory, others just get a flat fee.
Okay, so again, you would have to be a state agency, is what you're saying, where this BTR would refer to?
No, the legislation didn't say anything about business tax receipts. I'm not sure where that came from. I think one of the presenters that evening.
Yeah, because I
Threw that
know
out
I'm not
there.
hallucinating.
That is what was said. You are correct. But when we when we looked into it, it does not apply to our business tax receipts.
Okay. So, okay, so slash that question. So, okay, so then now, building permits. Okay. I'm going to the first line that we have building permits from 250,000 to, I guess, 1 million. There's a category for that, and then I would imagine everything else. No?
So we've renamed the We've renamed the categories to try to make them more clear. So the one that's marked minimum surcharge,
1M?
no, 1M, that means 1 million.
Right,
She-
it's 250 to 1 million,
Correct.
yes.
Keep in mind,
So
Barbara,
we've now-
she didn't get the updated one.
Right. So
Okay.
that's,
That
I-
was given tonight, so don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
It's the same numbers. It's just
so we've changed it to over 250,000. So it will still start at the same level. It could just be permits larger than 1 million.
Okay, so then my question is, and this is probably to Nadia too, what businesses that are coming in where we're only going to be collecting about 15,000, and then we have building permits other where we're collecting or anticipated to collect over 400,000?
Yes, so because we do have different categories, they are based on the value of the permits that are submitted. So the first category where it indicates building permits with minimum surcharge, that's account 322.100.
Yeah.
Those are permits that come in that reflect the values of less than $2,500. So they are charged a minimal permit fee of $100, of which we retain 30% of that revenue. So the total revenue number of $15,000 is the 30%. That really is reflective of the revenue that we've taken in the last 2 years. And it reflects what we anticipate we will continue receiving in revenue for those minimum permit fees.
For the minimum, but what, okay, that's that, right? But the
Then we
one-
have, then we have 2 additional categories.
Yeah.
We have the category of building permit values of $250,000 to 1 million, and then the category of over 1 million.
Why did y'all do this? Because now I'm really confused, because I really studied this, you know? And then y'all going to
Well,
like surprise
these
me with
categories
stuff like
have
this?
these have been in existence for quite some
But I
time.
mean, like, the book that was given to me, I was, you know, I did my homework.
Yeah, and the numbers still
Yeah, but
change.
see, but then you're saying M1, M2, M3, because this is what you gave me on Saturday.
So this has been revised to be,
Okay, so where is that in here? Because she's talking to me, and all I'm looking at is here.
so it's on the same line.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to like say on the public record too, that this was exactly an issue that was brought before me on last night in regarding to a P&Z meeting. And it was here, new information is provided to the Planning and Zoning Board or the LPA right at that meeting, and they don't have time to digest it and look at it. And I'm just like saying, to a certain extent, I think certain things are acceptable, but this right here is extremely confusing, and I would say right now it is unacceptable. Truly unacceptable. Because I spent time. I went through and I looked at it, and then to go back, like right now, that this is just being like presented, this is not right. I reserve time for it. Okay, now I'm gonna like just try to move on. Okay. So, the building receipts. So I wanted like, and we're just gonna go over 1 million, okay? Because I think that's what that permit, the building permit other would represent. It would represent anything, I would imagine, that's over the 250,000, et cetera, just because you broke those things into 2 different other categories. So I'm gonna like say, what projects are we anticipating that's coming before the town in that year that are big projects like that, where we're gonna be grossing that kind of money?
Yep, so we did have a discussion on that today. The only projects that we are currently aware of are some potential projects that may occur either in our downtown or in our marina area. And I know we all agree that at this point, we don't know what those project values will be, but understanding that we will have some form of, redevelopment occur in those areas, it would be anticipated that it would be at least a $40 million investment. And with that, we calculated our permit revenue share to be the numbers that are in this proposed revenue line, which is the $400,000 and the $15,000.
Okay. Now, this is where I'm going to caution us at. Last year, I sat here, in this very seat, and what I said last year when we were looking at hiring 2 sheriff's office and a assistant, the first word I said out of my mouth was, how are we going to pay for them? I was assured. We have Roadhouse, we have the money that's coming in from Nautilus, we have, and there was a whole stream. And I said, now remember, if we fund this with ARPA, I think it was, then we're going to need to make sure that there's money available for us to fund this like in the future. And I tried to negotiate with the sheriff's department, with the captain last year, and said to them, here, what if we just get one, deputy? Or maybe if we can just get one assistant, and let's just do that for right now. And it was confirmed, and it said, no, we will have that money because this is what's coming online, okay? A budget is what we work with because we know that that money is here. I'm secure with that money, okay? When we start making budget assumptions, because now that money never came in. That money never came in. And now I honestly feel that I'm back into a situation like this because I don't see, and since it was said that, this project here, because and I don't even want to talk about that project all in all, but for example, we could have gotten money for, say, the hotel or something like that was supposed to be built there this year. That may have covered something, right? We didn't get that. Nautilus still hasn't CO'd on any of the projects, right? And this is what we were counting on. And I don't want to be a person trying to count how many eggs are going to come out of my chicken without my chicken being there. Okay, because sometimes chicken lays one egg a day. Sometimes a chicken lays 2 eggs a day. And then sometimes that chicken don't lay no eggs for several times. I'm just saying, because I know about chickens, okay? Okay? So I'm just concerned, and I'm not barking at anyone, okay? So I don't want it to appear as though in any way that I'm barking at anyone. But there's just this sense of discomfort, because I don't want us looking at one particular project to bring something in and then it's not there, okay? So that's all I'm saying, because I haven't seen any major other projects that got approved for us to even say, okay, fine, a permit has been pulled, the site plan is approved, et cetera. Now I can really, count on that. And I would say, I think maybe there was some discussion by staff, but I don't believe that this dais, or maybe my ears were closed that night, that the project that we had anticipated would not have been on the rolls anyway, right? I don't believe I heard that. What I heard was, we are covered. It's going to be okay, Commissioner Thomas. So I'm just trying to be on the record now in this workshop to say, please show me the egg. Okay?
If I could, your comments are absolutely, we really work to be conservative in our numbers. As a reminder, with a lot of the building permit fees, these fees are not funding general fund dollars or general fund programs, even though it's in your general fund revenues. By state law, your building permits fund your building activities. That's why we were conservative in some of these numbers. And we don't want to get in the same position as what we did last year, absolutely. And that's something that we talked about quite a bit throughout this process, especially utilizing ARPA money, which is a one-time, funding, a non-recurring source of funding. So those comments are absolutely well received and taken, and that's one of the reasons why we're kind of doing this more in a piecemeal kind of thing, because we're trying to wait for revenues to be more accurate than us projecting all of the revenues. But again, there are gonna be areas where we're projecting, just like on our expenditures, we're gonna be doing that. That's what the budget is. It's a lot of times a projection. We try to get the numbers as close to what we think that they're gonna be, but sometimes a year later, they may be different. But 100%, we're not presenting or proposing any new, major dollars and programs based on development and ad valorem that might come in. And I think that was a big issue with Nautilus. And I actually sat in the audience that night, and I met a number of y'all that night. As a candidate, I came and watched, and we're not proposing that in this year's budget. So your points are absolutely 100% well taken, but the dollars on the building permit side will stay and must stay within our community development department and pay for building permit activities or building inspection fees, and that's required by state law. So
Okay.
so and just so any dollars that we do have available, they either have to go back. They have to be returned according to state law, building permit fees, or we use them for other business activities or education activities. And some of the things that Nadia has talked to me about is that if we do have any fees, particularly with some of the bigger projects, is maybe in working with Allison and doing some business training, business planning, and to promote development of businesses utilizing these dollars, because they can't go for salaries or other operational expenses in the general fund.
Okay.
So thank you really appreciate that.
Okay. Barbara, okay, and again, I'm actually just understanding the budget stuff now, okay? So bear with me, okay? So, okay.
Going to your point, again, about building permit fees, and one of the things that we'd like to do in the future, we just didn't have the time to do it this year, is we want to move our building permit activities and building fees and operations into a separate fund, so that it's not confusing inside of the general fund revenues, so that it's clear that this can, and it'll be better trackability, audit-wise, moving it out of this set of revenues and moving it into its own fund, just like the marina, just like this sanitation or stormwater fund. Unfortunately, I apologize. We just didn't have the time to do it this year.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No. Okay. So Barbara.
Yes.
I'm going back to the franchise fees for electric. Is that monies that we get from like FPL to operate in through the town?
They charge that fee on their invoice, and they turn and remit it to us.
Okay. So that's that. Okay. I think this one is probably Nadia. Okay. So Nadia, I'm looking at mobility fee for residential and commercial, right? The mobility fees would come out of a portion of that would come out of the building permit, correct? Or no?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And it's based on whether or not the permit is for residential or if it's for commercial, meaning industrial, et cetera, right?
Mm-hmm. It's broken up into the use category, yes.
Okay. And the way it's determined as far as the collection on it is based on what we anticipate building permits will be in 2025 and 2026?
Yes, so for the anticipated larger projects, the mobility fee would be calculated based on our mobility fee schedule pursuant to the estimated square footage for commercial in that project, the estimated square footage of residential, and it's calculated at a rate that's identified in the mobility fee schedule.
Okay. And so if I just do some rough math, that appears to coincide with building permit over 250,000.
Yes, but it's calculated a little differently, so it's not calculated on that permit value. It's actually calculated on the square footage that's identified in the proposal for that permit application. So for example, if we do have a new restaurant opening in the One Park Place building, taking up 3,000 square feet of space in that building, it would generate additional traffic to that area. And so there is a calculation, I forget the dollar amount per square foot, but it would be, you know, the 3,000 square feet times the dollar amount per square foot. And that would be the mobility fee that's associated with that new use.
Do we give discount for open area, public space within the mobility? Because you're just looking at total square footage of the footprint of that building.
Yes. Based on the impacts to the trips, yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, thank you
You're
for
welcome.
that. Moving on. Okay. This is for you as well. Code violations and fines.
Oh, let me just get there.
That's a good one.
I hope I'm not skipping over anything. Oh my goodness, okay, because I took it out. I got all nervous.
Yes. We do have three
Yeah.
separate, we have three separate categories for
1, 2, 3.
code violations.
Yeah.
So we have the fine portion, the administrative cost portion, and the interest portion.
That's something new, right? That's based on what you just
No,
said.
we've always had that. So for most of our liens, we have a fine amount that's associated with a lien. We do have an interest accrual that's associated with the lien based on the amount of time that it has carried forward. And we also have administrative costs that are typically due as part of an order for that lien when it was first recorded, because that case would have gone to hearing at that time. And
Okay.
Yes.
So, what I wanted like to say on that is, recently, email was sent to us on the special master not having to, we didn't have that many cases, so therefore, we were looking to cancel a few meetings, or maybe to reschedule how things were going to, be, because of how we, the town, are educating our residents, on code violations. Okay. With that being said, are we, because this year is, say, roughly 80,000 in violation fees, right? And next year, we're saying that we're going to have an increase of about another 5, right? Are we really anticipating that we're going to have an increase, since the email that we received also from your department said that 80% of those who were in violation have now come into compliance because of how we're educating, our community? So,
Normally, the collection of fines are a result of older liens. The majority of our revenue does come from liens that we already have in place, for which we have several that are still open, and have liens that are, fines that may be accruing if the case is still in noncompliance, or fines that may have stopped but are still accruing interest because the lien has not been settled. So much of our revenue that we are still receiving does come from older cases and not newer cases.
okay, so these are cases that have just been sitting for a while. So this is
Correct.
what this anticipated
Correct.
Revenue is from?
Yes.
Okay. Because you know how confusing that would be to me,
Yes,
like,
yes.
how could it be going over if more of the community is in compliance?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so thank you for clearing that away.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
now, what cell tower are we talking about? Oh, now I'm on rent for cell tower. I guess I should have given you all your stuff, but I'm just going by the way this was set up, the accounts are.
That's
Okay.
fine. So we do receive an annual rent on the tower that's on our property.
What are we talking about? The one that's over here at the Sheriff's Department? What tower? What cell tower are we referring to?
The address has just disappeared out of my mind.
No, because I know we have a cell tower right here.
Okay.
And then, of course, we have another cell tower that's off of Dixie, like over there by, yeah, but in that area there, right? So I was wondering, what cell tower are we referring to that where we're anticipating like to getting that kind of revenue from? Is that the one that's here that we have other users that are using, or if this cell tower right here just dedicated for the sheriff?
I will
Anyway,
double check
it
that
is what-
because I don't remember which one.
Okay, I'm sorry to.
That's okay. This is an ongoing lease. So we get an annual lease that's
Yeah.
got, and I believe it's got a 4%
Yeah,
increase built into it.
Okay.
And then as that tower subleases parts of, so others can participate on that tower, we get 25% a commission on that.
so we lease the tower, or, whatever, and then they sublease.
We're leasing the land so they could put the tower on it.
Yeah.
And they'll sublease access to the tower, and we get a piece of that.
Okay. Maybe we'll just see who the person is, just in the future. Maybe we could just say who we're leasing it to. I don't know. I didn't even know that we even had a cell tower.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
I
want to say
mean-
it's the cell phone companies, correct?
It is.
It is to the cell phone companies. Just, we're not sure of which ones, that's all.
Okay.
And a lot of times I won't know.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and just, a fine print would be good. Okay. Dunkin' Donut parking. What's that?
So the Dunkin' Donuts, right over here on US 1. If you're facing Dunkin' Donuts, like you're standing in US 1,
Looking north, looking south? Because
You're
that's
looking-
don't
you're
tell me
east.
left and right, okay? Because I don't know
You're looking
that.
straight east at the building.
Okay.
Off to the left or the north side,
Okay, so I'm
There's-
at Dunkin' Donuts, I'm looking east.
so you're trying not to look at the donuts in there. You're just looking at the parking lot to the north side of it or to the left side of it.
Don't use left. Am I going to the north or am I going to the south?
North. North.
North,
So
okay,
the
so the
north
north,
side.
okay? So the drive-through area.
Right, so just past that a little bit, there's a stretch of land that's ours that they lease from us because they have to have a required number of parking spaces.
I'll save you the headache. It's that overflow parking that.
That's
we
to the north.
To the north that they used to use for the sunset celebrations when they were at the marina.
So in this,
That little parking area. Yeah, that we had improved, that now is unimproved. Okay, that's that area you're talking about.
Right there.
Yeah, that we used to use for the sunset celebration. Yeah, that's, okay, good. So Dunkin' Donuts is actually leasing that property from us?
yes,
Okay, for their employees, I guess, whatever. Okay. And they're still doing it now?
yes.
Okay.
It's a 30-year lease. And it's been in existence, this is a relatively new owner, so it was in existence with the prior owner as well.
Do they, okay, they could only use it though for parking?
It's paved, so yeah, they can only use it for parking. They're also responsible for the property taxes on that piece of land, so we do not pay those.
Okay,
I got a question. It's kind of piggyback off.
Go ahead.
okay, go ahead. I mean,
So they're leasing it. It's a different price because I'm looking at the years like.
And so in this year and part of last year, we tore it up as part of the southern outfall, and so they had no access.
So it was a
So we
prorated.
didn't
it was a
charge
prorated.
them for the months they've had no access. They got access back again on June 1st. So I billed them for June through September, and then I also billed them for the following year.
So for that slip, we get 9,000
Yes,
for a year.
yes.
Why are you smiling?
I
just
didn't know that
messing with you.
9,000 for a little parking lot.
Yeah. I'm just messing with you.
Okay. Sales of surplus property. I'm going to tell you why I'm asking this question, because I didn't see it anywhere in here. That property that was 1,002 Second Court, was that considered surplus property?
No, these items are, in finance, we've got a 35 millimeter camera that's been sitting there longer than I've been here. We could turn that over to surplus. It would get auctioned off, and then we would get the proceeds minus the auction fees. So we do that with vehicles. And so all those enterprise leases that were turned back in, we recovered funds from those. Sanitation will do it with equipment. Stormwater will do it with old equipment. We've sold mowers, trailers that we've replaced because they're no longer dependable, to somebody who can work hard and make them dependable, or can at least get some more use out of it. So it comes and goes.
Okay, so like when we talk about property, it could just be equipment, but we're not really talking about land. We're
No.
not talking about real estate.
No, real estate would end up in a category called gain from sale, because we were selling that property.
Yeah. Okay. So would that trailer that's sitting over there at Bert Bergstrom, that's, why are you grinning?
I'm not sure anybody would pay anything for that thing.
But would that not be surplus property that we could do something with? I mean,
We're using it for storage, so it's
Oh,
not
oh.
surplus at this point.
oh, okay. Like documents? I hope. Right.
Correct.
Can those stuff be digitized? I mean, and I don't even see that, because that was the other thing I was going to talk about, was like the technology. Because when you digitize these things, is that the same word that they use nowadays, digitize?
Correct.
Okay, so things change very quickly, you know, warp speed. Would that classify or go under, or could we, I mean, why is it still being stored there? I know okay, there's a lot of questions in my head all at one time. I know we have a requirement, state requirement, as for how long we can retain the material. But are they talking about physical material itself, or could we just digitize that and then get rid of it? And then maybe we can surplus the trailer.
I will let town
I
clerk
think
answer
Vivian
because it's
can,
her stuff.
take that
Oh, I
question.
didn't know, okay. Hello, clerk.
Okay,
Town clerk.
so the records that are held in the trailer currently are permanent records that are digitized, but are state mandated that we have to keep physical records of. And those are your building plans that are signed and sealed, that have the raised embrasser sealed, that we must maintain. So I need a storage area to maintain those records. They are digitized, and so therefore, if anyone needs to review them for any reason or needs a copy of them, we have them. But should anything need to be destroyed, like a building or something where we need those actual architectural renderings, we have to keep the actual hard copy document. So that's why there is still an area in which we have to keep that type of permanent record.
Okay, so saying that, if you go by it, that thing looks like it's a wreck. It looks like it's leaking. It looks like there's probably infested with something. So I don't even know what condition those plans might be in. And so it may be in our best interest to kind of like, and if, in fact, we have to have a physical record of it, I don't even know how useful those records are if we've even gone through, because in my mind, we might want to put that in an air-conditioned space and preserve it for whatever period it is. But right now, where it's at, I'm just anticipating that that's a no-go.
So I have touched every single file.
Okay.
80% of them are in a plastic sealed bag, labeled with what the document is that is inside of it, so that if anything were to happen to those records, they are protected. They can be sent to an off-site storage facility for maintenance purposes, or maintain them, because the trailer is air conditioned. It is properly being maintained at the moment. We would just have to then take on the expense of a storage facility in which they would be housed.
So it's,
right
so
now,
it's air conditioned.
it's
So the
a-
air
it
conditioner
is-
is running in there
It is-
constantly.
It is a air-conditioned, properly ventilated area for those records to be properly maintained.
Okay. Town manager, maybe we ought to figure out what that cost is, like for us, the electrical, whatever it is, and what it may cost for us to, that's just my opinion.
I suspect that when we see what the master plan comes back with at the rostrum, we'll have an idea that we need to move that so that we can use that facility fully. So I don't think it would be too long before we
Okay,
need to do something with it anyway.
okay. Okay, so that's that. Thank
Can I
you.
say one thing?
Sure, sure.
That was, Vivian, I hope, but that was one of the things I talked to Vivian about when I first got here, and the documents over there she really values,
She does.
all of it, and I appreciate that, but I know that she would like to find another location as
Those
well.
records were housed at PBSO before we were asked to remove them from the PBSO area.
I see. Okay. And Vivian, this is no reflection on you. This is just questions that I'm asking because you are very good at what it is that you do. Okay. Okay, then I have this thing that says miscellaneous P3 reimbursement. What is that?
As part of the P3 agreement, once the reverter clauses have been approved, we are expecting a payment of $1.2 million. That's,
That doesn't say 1.2, that says 10,000.
This is the funding, Commissioner, that we're eligible to request that the developer reimburse us for staff costs, for consultant costs, for attorney costs to manage and maintain the contract.
Okay, so,
So these are all dollars, these are all our staff dollars that we're going to request or we've requested to be reimbursed, and that's required by state law and part of the agreement.
okay. And the only reason why I'm saying that, right, is that we're in 2024-25. We have 53,008. And in 25-26, which is nothing as yet gone, it says 10,000. So where is that huge deduction from?
I think it's just, we don't want to
Estimate,
overestimate, we want to
we-
be conservative. So any
But-
dollars that come in, we'll certainly be reimbursing, and that will just be additional dollars that come into our, so we didn't want to budget on something that we didn't know that was definitely coming in.
But I mean,
Again,
but this is what you're doing now, though, and you're at this.
That's what we're doing
And the
now.
project isn't even done yet. So I wouldn't consider that as being, that just doesn't even look right. I mean,
We certainly could probably, but we were just being conservative.
and additionally, since it's expenditures that we will pay, so we will pay Attorney Baird X amount of dollars, and then we will turn around and invoice it to the P3 and get reimbursed. So we have that $10,000 worth of revenue in there, and we have a matching $10,000 worth of expenses. So it doesn't, if we're wrong, and if it's 20,000, we're not going to impact the budget in any way, because the expenditures will match the revenues.
And we'll just then come back and do a budget amendment with you all and show that it went from 10 to 20 or 30, and then there'll be a $30,000 expenditure on the other side. So it's really a wash either way.
no, but I
So-
mean, to me, I just feel that we're not looking at, in my opinion, right? Because I'm just looking at what you've already, what you're expended already, right? And you're just at the initial phase of it on one, and that's what you have now. So why would you think it would be less than what you spend it now and you haven't done any work on it? You know what I mean? Like, let me correct myself. When there's still so much more work to do moving forward, because staff will still have to do the things that they're doing now in 25, 26.
And again, we can always add more.
Okay?
And if we don't use it, it's still going to be an in and
Don't worry
out
about it,
either
is what
way,
you're saying.
basically, because we're going to
Does-
come back and clean it up at a budget amendment before the budget's over. And if we end up spending 100,000, we'll come back and do a budget amendment for 90, so that it'll be the full 100 and it'll be a wash. So we just
Not if we
wanna-
don't have the money. Because you can't come back and make a budget amendment when we don't have $90,000 that's sitting there.
But the
I mean,
but
you know,
those
unless we
dollars-
ask for it from contingency fund or something, and that's something too we're going to have to talk about, but,
Well, those dollars are reimbursed back to us, so it's not really a long reimbursement,
okay.
time. So that's why we're just trying not to budget on things, trying to just be more conservative.
Okay. The transfer in the CRA loan, what's that BOA loan?
Bank of America loan.
Thank you.
So the town secured a loan for items to be taken care of in the CRA back in 2008, and there was another one in 2009. We're budgeting, instead of the CRA making the annual payment, we're budgeting that they will pay the loan off this year. As part of the process of the CRA wanting to bond, it will look better to have no debt.
Okay.
Yeah, when we go through the rating process,
Just
it'll
to
be a
pay
little
off,
cleaner
okay. This
if
is
there's
to
no
pay-
debt. And so
Pay off.
by getting a better bond rating, if we were to bond, that will save us over the term of the bond long-term, so it's better to pay it off now, and then possibly get a better rating so we can get a better interest rate.
Okay. Now I'm down to the transfer in the marina.
That's,
Okay.
sorry, I just was a couple lines ahead of you.
You
That-
were? No?
Yeah, I was. The $1,210,000, that line?
1.2? Yeah.
Okay, so the $10,000 is the marina's share of, they call it the Johnson Controls, when they went through and they did the lighting and air conditioning, the low flush toilets, all those things, all those improvements, that was the marina's share. The debt is in the town's name, so the marina transfers us $10,000 as their portion. The $1.2 million is the payment that would be due to us once the reverter clauses have been complete. So we have budgeted as revenue on the marina side, and then they will transfer that money to us as a payment of the money they borrowed, the $2.4 million, toward that land that we needed to resolve with the county.
Okay, so yeah, so now that's something that I want to make sure. Now, I know we had 2.4, yeah, we had to pay.
Correct.
Well, the sales price was 2.4, okay? And that was the town paying the county that 2.4 so that we could utilize that area that was initially designated for trailer parking for access to the marina or the waterway. That's what it was initially. That's why the town had that corner piece at Silver Beach and US 1. Yes?
Correct?
Okay.
And the town loaned the money to the marina paid the fee.
Okay. So the town loaned the money to the marina, and then the marina paid for
That $2.4 million for that land,
to own the land
to own the land.
for the use for public
In the P3.
parking, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So now the town already gave, well, we have already satisfied our 1.2 because we bought that and because it's a partnership, right? So this 1.2 that we're waiting for is the other half of what the partnership would be in order to be solvent with the 2.4 that the marina paid out for that spot.
It doesn't specifically spell that out in the P3 agreement. It just says it would be a payment of $1.2 million at this particular point. So I don't know that that's how the number came out as to why it's 1.2. I wasn't party to that years ago, so I can't speak to that.
Yeah, okay. And I'm just coming to the party myself, and I'm trying to enjoy myself. Okay, so here I go. So I'm trying to like figure this out. So we only get that 1.2 if the cabinet, if the governor's cabinet agreed to releasing those areas that are owned by the Florida Trust.
The developer could want to go forward without those being satisfied, and he would still have to pay the 1.2 at that point.
Okay, so in essence, we are guaranteed to get this 1.2? No.
Not the
Which,
He,
no,
The agreement has multiple
layers,
layers.
okay?
The first one is, like Barbara said, if the reverter clauses or the deed restrictions are not approved, the developer could make the decision to go forward with the project or not go forward with the project. If the reverter clauses are approved, there's still language in the agreement that says not only if the reverter clauses are approved, and Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, please, and I can read it, I have it with me if I need, but it's also at the satisfaction, I believe, of the developer. So it's not just the reverter clauses, there's like additional language to it but it's our understanding from speaking with the developer that once the reverter clauses are approved, once they're recorded, we will then get the 1.2 million.
So if we don't do the reverter, we're not getting the money.
That's right.
Unless he chooses to go forward.
Unless they decide to still go forward with the portions of the project that are outside of the reverter clause, particularly the hotel. And the hotel has been outside of the reverter clause from day one. That's not been part of any deed restrictions.
Yeah, because this 1.2 deals with the actual parcel that has no encumbrances on it, i.e. we don't have to get any additional approval from the county or either from the Florida Trust to use this parcel.
We don't need, there's
Anything.
no requirements for them to move forward with that, other than getting town approval through PUD and site plan.
Correct.
For that, okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
this is where that nerve comes in. You know, I'm getting a little anxious now, right? Because what I just heard is no reverter, no money. And yet we're billing this in to our budget.
We bill it in as an in and an out. So in your marina fund, you'll see the revenue there, then you'll see the expenditure, and then you'll see the revenue here. And depending on how that all plays out, the idea for this 1.2 was not to fund your general fund expenditures. It was to repay the loan in your reserves. So if that doesn't happen, that loan, that amount, that $2.4 million debt that the marina has to the town will still be there. So yes, you're correct, but it won't impact our operating expenses or our personnel expenses.
Well, how are we going to pay the loan?
We would have, well, it's either this money and or additional profits that the marina would be able to earn. This year, as you'll see, when we get to the marina
Right.
fund, there's a projected about $400,000 positive in the black of revenue that the marina is expected. Last year was about $450,000. So those are ways that the money could be repaying back the $2.4 million. There are other loans and other costs that the marina has out there, other debt as well. So we can talk about that
Let's
when we
get
get
to
to
the
the
marina.
marina
Let's get to
fund.
the
Yeah.
marina on that one.
Yeah.
So, but this is just
Just the general.
Yeah,
the in back to to deal with the general fund, the reserve
yeah,
number.
okay. Because see, that also raises that whole question of whether or not it should have been in there since we're not actually officially using it. You know, it's that, do we use it? No, we don't use it.
Yeah.
Okay,
And we'll talk more about even, the ground leases and different things like that, because we need to really have an understanding of, when we get to the marina fund, how that all plays into next year's budget as well.
Okay.
So-
okay.
So
And just bear with me, just one little bit more, okay?
I know you got on the last page.
Okay. Okay. Transfer into sanitation, is that for the trucks?
No.
Okay,
4 years ago, The sanitation fund did not have the money to purchase containers. So they borrowed a little over $100,000 from us to buy their containers. They've been paying us back over 5 years. This is the final payment. They pay it back with interest.
Okay, so that's the payback.
On October 1st.
Payback. Okay, and then I think lastly was that beautification fund. Is that the fund that we have, or grant? Is that like the grant?
Right now, that money is allotted
used-
for the gravel driveways.
Yes, I was going to say that's like the grant for the,
So we won't transfer that money out of the beautification fund until we know how much we've spent in the gravel driveways. We monitor it, so if it's getting close to the $50,000, we would come back to you and ask for additional monies. It can be used for other grants, but that's, right now, the driveways is the one that pops, because
Yes.
we've talked about that
And
before.
we assured you all that that money would be available. We wanted to continue, in the community, we wanted to make sure it was very clear that that funding was available.
okay. Yeah, the other issues that I have are, not issues, questions. It's going to go into the marina, so I'll just, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir.
I do want to apologize to Commissioner Thomas. The reason why the few of those titles had changed was because, and that's my fault. When we were going back through it after we did distribute, it seemed a little unclear on some of it, and so the numbers were all the same. None of the numbers didn't change. It was some of those titles, because we just wanted to make sure that it was as transparent, as clean as possible.
So it was just basically naming convention?
That's all it was, and so that's on me to try and make it a little bit more clear. And again, it's a work in progress, and I apologize. So
Thank you.
You're all set? Yes. Okay. Commissioner O'Rourke, did you have any questions on the general portion of the budget? Nope? Okay. Okay, thank you, Barbara. I guess we're going to the marina?
We're going to the marina.
Okay.
all right.
So in the marina, we have the major revenue listed up on the screen, which would be the wet slips and the fuel, both gas and diesel. And there you're seeing in 25-26, the Marina P3 project, the $1.2 million that we are anticipating. Expenditure-wise, we've summarized the expenditures by category: personnel, operating, capital outlay, debt service, and then other uses. And we've given you the comparisons over multiple years. I know we talked about the debt service. Currently, the marina owes on the Bank of America 2008 loan. It is scheduled to be paid off in 2028, and they owe about $171,000, a little bit more than that. On the bond, that was taken out in 2003. It will be paid off in 2033. And right now they owe $1,720,000 on that. It's an annual payment yearly. And so it's budgeted, I think, at $222,000 for it this year.
So for clarification, Barbara, the marina has a loan from the general fund, not only for the 2.4 million, but for additional improvements. So it's about $3.5 million from the general fund only.
The general fund was the one that was obligated on the entire loan.
Right, but there's
and it-
but total that the marina owes back to the general fund is about $3.5 million,
It's not quite that much, but it's close.
somewhere in that
It's
neighborhood.
a little over 3.2,
And then we have a bond,
and
and then
then,
we have a Bank of America loan.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Just want to make sure that the
Yes.
commission's clear. How much is that total?
Just like $5.1 million.
What's the,
Can you say that
what's
number one more
the,
time?
what's, she said
Oh,
5.1.
$5.1 million.
Okay, and the breakdown of that 5.1 again is,
So it's a bond where we owe $1,720,000. And that was for marina improvements back many years ago. We have the Bank of America loan, which was taken out in 2008, again for marina improvements, much less. And we owe $171,436 on that. And then the marina owes the general fund
The 2 point.
the 2.4, plus there was other monies there that they owed us, so it totals to a little over $3.2 million.
Who is they?
When you say they, who is they?
They, the marina
Okay,
owes the general
Marina's
fund.
general fund.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, the bulk of the money is the 2.4 million that was used for the land purchase to be able to get out of the county's bond issuance.
Correct.
Right.
Let me know when you're ready for questions.
Go.
You want, just go through a little bit.
Okay, you want to keep? Okay.
Yeah.
So here we've got some notes about the previous screen. Under personnel expenses, it includes the annual COLA and merit increase. It includes the increase in employee benefits, which would be the health, dental, life, disability. It includes the FRS retirement cost, which is higher than our former plan. Under operating, the bigger number is under contractual services, which includes the marina security. It includes landscaping and their software and some other items. Fuel expenditures, which fuel is resold, so the more fuel we sell, the larger the expenditure gets. Our insurance cost and utility expenditures, water, electric. Annual debt payment, we've talked about that, the Marina bond and the Bank of America loan. And then other uses, we've got the $1.2 million payment for the Marina P3 projects, which when they receive it, they will return it to the general fund as loan payment. And an indirect cost allocation, and that is how the Marina supports its administrative costs by using general fund employees to do it.
So, Mr. Mayor, if you look at the bottom of, it says page 3, you'll see that the year-to-date activity and the expected profit and loss, I actually made a mistake in what I expected it to be this year. I'm sorry, I was thinking it was the same as what we had last year. So we are expecting to receive additional dollars and earn a positive profit on this fund. And again, I want to say thank you to Jason. Jason's really looked at a lot of different things and ways to do different things. I've asked him to look at different things. He's come up with great ideas, and there's so many other things that he has ideas about. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. So we are, I've heard this a number of times since I've come to the town that the marina has not been self-sufficient. Over the last 2 years, and this year particularly, it looks like we will be self-sufficient in that fund. And again, there's a lot of availability of revenue in this fund. So, but again, a big chunk of it, like Barbara showed, is from the slips and the revenue sales. And a lot of those revenue sales were from the boat clubs. They used the fuel sales quite a bit, and but because of the impacts with the deed restrictions, with the state, as you're aware, there's a requirement to remove those impacts with the 2 boat clubs and the sales barge. So those were all revenues to us that, will, affect us depending on where we go from here.
And we try to incorporate that in this budget by looking at the number of gallons sold, the number of gallons purchased by Freedom and Jet Ride, and to then estimate what replacement boats might purchase, and it would never be at the same volume, and then calculate it at on average cost of where we think the fuel will be sold at, to try to make sure we weren't overestimating our revenues.
And then, of course, you'll see in the transfer side, well, you see in the revenue side, the 1.2 million under miscellaneous other.
Yeah.
That's the 1.2 that's expected to come in with the P3 project. So you have the revenue in, and then you have the revenue, the expenditure, the revenue out under your other uses, where you see transfer to general fund. So you see that the 1.2 and
The
then
1.210.
So that's the same number that you just saw in your general fund revenue. So there's your in, your out, and then back in the in.
Correct,
the
it's
general
showing, it's
fund
showing the
side.
movement of that
Yes, sir.
1.2.
So again, we're proceeding forward, you know, again, with the expectation that that 1.2 million is going to be received in the next fiscal year, even though the reverter causes are expected September. By the time it's recorded, that's when we expect to get the dollars, which will probably be sometime in October, early October.
You had other questions?
Oh, I have quite a bit. And a lot of concern. So we'll put the 1.2 aside for a minute. Upon the one, and this is regarding the P3,
Okay,
because so far from what the town manager says, we've been in a positive light for the past 2 years. This is not even including the P3.
Those
But-
are unaudited numbers, though.
Correct. But upon the first completion of a first component of the P3, we'll get a year later after CO, $300,000.
but the P3 specifically says that goes to the general fund, not to
Correct.
the marina.
Correct, that 1.2 is going to go to the general fund. Only 1.2 of the 2.4 that we already paid to the county to acquire that parcel outright. Correct? So there's still 1.2 hanging in the general reserves waiting to be collected from the marina.
Correct.
So, again, going back now to the first component being built, receives a CO, $300,000 comes after a year later, based on the agreement.
Correct.
10 years down the line, we get $300,000, $300,000, $300,000. That should equate to $3 million, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so now we have $3 million plus the 1.2 that we're given, that's 4.2 million, correct?
Correct.
Now, in addition to that, based on the agreement, we get 10% of any new wet slips that they're created by the developer.
10% of the revenue from any, yes,
Plus, we also get any ad valorem on any of the buildings that are constructed by the developer, because those are taxable.
plus we're supposed to get 10% of the revenue on the boat, the building, the boat storage
For
building.
within the dry slips as well.
No,
No?
I'm sorry. It's only on the new wet slips.
Only on the new wet
Yes,
slips.
sir. I'm sorry to correct you. sir.
Okay.
That's fine, that's fine. Thank you for putting that to light, because that actually helps my thought process here. So 4.2, 10% ad valorem. That's the agreement in a nutshell, right? So now, remember I said we had that 1.2 still waiting to be collected. When you take that 1.2 out of the 4.2, how much do we have left there?
Do you have $3 million left?
$3 million left.
But when you take the full 2.4,
I'm sorry, correct.
Oh, okay.
Correct, because we owe the reserves 2.4 million. When you take that 2.4 million of the 4.2 million, what do we have left?
So if you take the two, so you,
2.4
$1.8
subtracted from the
million.
4.2. I think that's roughly about 1.8.
yeah,
So how much do we have in debt in the marina?
oh, a little bit more than 1.8.
A little bit more than 1.8. So where in this agreement are we getting the benefit of the agreement? No. You understand where I'm coming from right now?
Yeah, and it would be ad valorem taxes as we go further,
I'm glad you brought that up. You segued right to
But-
my next point. So,
but that doesn't belong to the marina.
well, it doesn't belong to Mira, but it's taxable.
Yes,
The land, we own the land, the buildings are taxable. That's my wheelhouse anyway. So right now, we're having an issue with the state where the state wants to take away property taxes, correct? So let's say in a strange world that property taxes are taken away. So what's left of us? 10% on wet slips,
Yes,
and that's it, right?
yes.
And a lot of debt still.
And that's not very much money.
No, that's like no money. That's not very much money. That's like no money. This is my problem here right now that I'm looking at this, and I looked at the agreement. I cycled through it. I'm seeing problems, issues with time delays. I'm looking at this critical path here. We got 3 critical paths. I'm going to take the whole hotel component because that leads to the reverter clauses. Well, hold on. In the first critical path, the hotel was supposed to be done 1/7 of 2026. In the second, the hotel was supposed to be done 3/7 of 27, and then now the most recent and updated one, 2028. So, we just got done talking about property taxes, right? Let's say in the world they don't touch property taxes. We won't see any property taxes
At all.
at all till 3 years later. And then going back now to the reverter clauses, the hotel component is not subject to the reverter clause, right?
That, correct.
So why is it not being built?
Can't answer that.
Me neither, because we're trying to figure it out. I'm trying to understand what kind of partner we have based on the math, because we are talking budget, we're talking dollars and cents here, and right now the dollars don't make sense. We're talking partnership where there's delays. Have you received any financial statements from day one?
I have not.
You have not. Interesting. If you could please just not say, let me, I understand we have passion in this, but let me finish my statement, please. Also, again, we only have 10%. We're almost 2.5 years behind on this project as a whole. And we haven't, and Commissioner Thomas talked about public space area. Did we have anything about public space area that we discussed?
Now, if you can come up and just talk about what's proposed in the site plan?
Just out of curiosity.
We're talking about public space.
Is the question in reference to whether or not we have some public space identified on the site plan application?
correct.
Okay. So we are currently in review of the site plan application. Currently, we have some comments drafted for the proposed public space. So the public space has not been finalized yet.
But nothing concrete to say anything.
Nothing concrete.
Okay, so not only we have that, we have issues and time delays. We have no financial statements, which shows a financial liability because I don't know what kind of financials there are. So there's a lot of issues here that puts me in a flux to wonder about my partner here. Because again, the key word is partner, right? So, Mr. Town Attorney, what happens after the reverter clauses are approved?
Under the terms of the comprehensive agreement, when the reverter clauses are approved, the ground leases become effective. So there are 4 ground leases, but specific to the marina, there is a marina ground lease, which essentially gives the developer control over the marina to the extent there are improvements to be made, maintenance, the normal things that and really almost like an owner would have in terms of managing that marina.
And do the ground leases require or illustrate or indicate any type of management who is managing the marina?
There's no provision in the ground leases for who manages
Or
it.
even the agreement itself?
The comprehensive agreement does not address the management of
So
the marina.
then the staff that we have have no idea which way they're going as far as who's managing the marina.
I can't speak for what the staff knows.
Well, it's not a matter of what the staff wants, but it's a matter of what's identified and illustrated in the comprehensive agreement. So, let's say they take over the management of the marina. Town manager, what happens with the enterprise fund?
We really have a couple options. One is we just keep the enterprise fund there. The dollars that the comprehensive agreement provides for only really one revenue from the developer as part of the agreement, and that is for the revenues of the 135 boat slips that could be out there. I believe we have fewer there right now, and Jason has projected that I think revenues for all 135 slips, if we could get them all in there, would be probably about $300,000. Is that right, Jason? Is that approximately the number? Okay. But so we have that revenue that can flow into that, but probably my recommendation would be to eliminate the fund and have everything just go right into the general fund. The problem is there's no understanding of what happens to our expenditures. And I hate to say it that way, but it's all of the expenditures. It's not just our fuel expenditures, which lead to revenues on the fuel side, our building, maintenance, all those things. Some of the ground leases may manage that. But the most important part of it is our staff, and what happens to our staff, and how are they managed, how does that transition occur without, an agreement being provided. And for me, I think I've had a number of conversations with Jason, and it's just we're in a very difficult position not knowing the answers to some of those at this time.
And
I can tell you that the developer has requested that we set up a meeting to try to address some of those issues, but again, at this time, we don't really know what. But my recommendation would be that if they were to take over the marina, we would dissolve this fund.
Clearly, you understand my concerns and everything.
Yes.
Issues in the time delays, no financial statements, so we don't know the viability of our partner. Again, partner. Delays in construction where these reverter clauses are important, but although they're important to some, not to all. So we have no construction going on yet, which means ad valorem, we will not see that till at the latest 2027, 2028, if I'm going base 2029. Because in my office, we look at January 1. What's the capture of the building, and is it done by the 1st or not done by the 1st? Which means if we use Nautilus, for example, if it gets CO'd this year, it's not reflective in this budget. It's reflective in the next budget. So we're already a year off from the timetable of what initially was there. And now you're looking at the marina and how we're delayed there. We're looking at ad valorem that's way down the line. And let me not forget and repeat again, the state's trying to get rid of property taxes. So in essence, 4.2 million, gone.
Correct.
10%, that's all we get from new slips. And we got bills to pay still. But we got a partnership, from what I'm gathering, not from what I'm gathering at all. So there's a problem here. There's a serious problem, and it all goes back to the beginning. It all goes back to this comprehensive agreement that we decided to go move forward with. And now that we see with the curtains open, this needs to be revisited.
Yes.
But as the town attorney stated, if this reverter clause gets approved by the state, all bets are off, because now it's basically, here's your 1.2 million, let's get it going. And even then, we're still waiting for ad valorem, correct?
Correct.
So I don't know how you guys are thinking here, but I'm really uneasy to move forward in this. And that's just me. And I'm thinking we may need to put a pause on even the reverter clause with the state so we can renegotiate this at the table. For me, that's what I see, and I've given all the reasons why. Financially, stability, partnership, all in question. And I wrote all my notes down just to prove the narrative. And I don't have to because we've already done our journey into this calculating world of the P3, right? And so far, we found out that all we get is 10% right now.
Correct.
When slips are made, which we're still waiting on.
And again, those have to go through a permitting process. And because it's also governed by others besides us, they've got to satisfy
All the
multiple entities.
So, we have an application to the state. We have a reverter clause. We have a hearing coming up for those reverter clauses. What I propose is we hold off, and hold off very quickly so we can renegotiate this whole thing. That's my proposal. I will let you guys decipher it because it takes a consensus to do so. If it can get put on the agenda very quickly, I would be okay to do so. And I will leave it at that. If anybody else has any comments, you may begin. Commissioner O'Rourke.
I have two topics that I want to talk about. First of all, the delays. One of the things that, and I appreciate the things you've told me. I was told the same information from the town manager when I had I did a phone discussion with them the other day. But I'm always curious when I hear about delays that the delays are shifted to everybody else but this town. Part of what goes on in the delays come from a process where we're not doing what we should be doing. These things that have been problems that have been identified, such as issues with regard to the developer trying to, and this is just one example, the developer trying to combine pods together. There's no harm in doing that if we work these things out ahead of time, but those things don't happen because instead what we do is we have the town manager, I'm sorry, not the town manager, excuse me, the town attorney say, this doesn't fit with our comprehensive plan, so we can't do this. It has to be done this way, which is not a fact. The way it can be done is we can work on the comprehensive plan to fit these things into a process that wouldn't create the delays that have been created. Secondly, the other things that that concern me is we talk about delays, and now we want to shift that fault for delays totally onto what you called derogatorily your partner, implying that this developing group that has worked with us for over 5 years now is not doing what's right for our town. So what we're going to do is we're going to delay this revenue of $1.2 million that's coming up within the next 4 weeks, as if that's a really good solution to the budget crisis that I believe this town is now in. The last point I wanted to address is the property taxes. The property tax issue is not something that involves commercial property taxes. It is a property tax that was associated with homeowners, and another way for a political group in Florida, in Tallahassee, that believes that that's a good way to go to do away with property taxes for homeowners. And we were at the meeting for Florida Leagues of Cities, and they were pointed out in that meeting that that the benefit to homeowners already is significant when we consider Save Our Homes legislation, which has, I don't want to say artificially, but which has legislatively kept our property taxes low, especially in areas where property taxes and the property for certain areas are appraised or would be normally appraised at a much higher level, are now only appraised at fractions of the cost of the actual property. The commercial side of that is not impacted by the discussions on property taxes. It seems as though part of the policy idea of getting rid of property taxes is to harm those who are not permanent residents of Florida and shift the burden onto commercial and non-homesteaded properties. I don't think that it's a nice way to present more problems for what we're dealing with, but it just muddies the water. The idea of trying to figure out what we're going to do with the employees, and no, I mean no disrespect to anybody, but the fact is that this enterprise fund up until 2 years ago was a deficit fund that has been borrowing money from our general fund for years. And it has never, in my time that I've been involved in this town, has never operated in the black until recently. And that's probably has to do with good management that they have now. For many years, we've had difficulty getting the marina operated correctly. However, going back, there are times when we looked at a study that was done that basically says that our marina building, the facility itself, is not up to standards and needs to be repaired or replaced. And none of those things have changed. None of that will happen if we don't move forward in a positive direction. So I know it's easy to point fingers at the developer and call the developer the enemy, even though those words weren't used. The truth is that we do have a partner here. If we would start working with them and stop doing it in a way where we throw wrenches at them and get them to work with us, I think we would have been already through this process. But again, that may not be an opinion that's shared by everybody on this commission, or maybe by anybody other than me on this commission. But there will be a process that goes forward where we work on these things, and eventually we will get to a resolution. But we don't get to the resolution if we don't work with the organizations and the companies that are trying to make our town better, our marina better, our revenue higher in our town, and all of those things. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. One of your statements you made was about the two pods going in at the same time, correct?
Yes.
Nadia, can you come up for a second, please? So Commissioner O'Rourke mentioned the two pods being able to go in together under site plan approval. Is that what the comprehensive agreement
No,
calls for?
please, let me rephrase what I said, because that's not correct.
Well, if you don't mind, can I just get the answer from her first, then you can
Well, if
rephrase?
you're going to give a different question than I presented,
Okay,
then
then please.
make it your question.
Okay, then please go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
I said we would have been better off if we could have resolved that by going through the comprehensive plan and moving through the comprehensive plan to make it a process where that would be allowed.
And that would have come to us for modification, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You're good, because I know the comprehensive agreement calls for one site plan at a time, and for any modifications made, it requires commission approval
Correct.
on any modification.
For any modifications to the comprehensive agreement, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
When was the last time, Nadia, that something was brought to the commission for change of the comprehensive plan?
I don't recall that happening.
So then it's never happened. So it's not, what I'm trying to say is that we're not working with these people. Is that correct?
Are you asking me whether our department is working with them? We're working with them on site plan reviews.
Are we working on them to get to the end result of all of this, where we get our revenue that we're entitled to and even more increase? The topics that the town manager talked about, they're all legitimate issues. All of those revenue things should be worked out. But we don't work on them because instead what we do is say, you're not doing what we want you to do, so nothing goes forward. And then let's say it's your delay now. That's my perspective on it. So, and folks, you can snicker about this.
No,
It's okay.
Let's not go. It's fine. You made your comments. That's good comments. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, Nadia, I have a question for you, because I was actually enjoying myself last night at the meeting. And I know I'm just confused, and it's kind of a little off subject. I thought last night they made an amendment to the company, another different plan, and it said it had to come before the commission when any amendments are made, or with them?
Last night, Commissioner Hensley, last night we considered an item before the local planning agency. It was a completely separate item
Right,
having
Smith,
to
yeah.
do with our comprehensive plan and the bioscience overlay that's identified in the comprehensive plan. So yes, once the local planning agency considers any amendment to the comprehensive plan, which is separate from the comprehensive agreement in
Right,
this
from here.
discussion.
But any of them have to come to the commission, correct?
Yes, that would move forward to the town commission.
Anything else? Commissioner Linden?
Thank you. Well, based on what you were saying, I understand that in September, we go to Tallahassee. And if that goes through as planned, do we lose all of our leverage or any of our leverage to deal with them? I agree with Commissioner O'Rourke, we need to work and talk with them. Don't get me wrong. But after September, what do we have? If they approve it, it is what it is today, and we have nothing to discuss with them. So are you proposing that I don't know.
If I may I
Oh.
respond to?
Commissioner Roth?
Well, I don't think we lose leverage because we haven't had these things resolved. They're not resolved within the documents themselves. There's nothing in the documents that say who's going to, how we're going to resolve the employment situation. There's nothing in those details. And there's a lot of things like that. I agree with what the town manager says. There's things that need to be resolved, but every time we delay this, our sanitation department's suffering. Eventually, we're going to get to the point where we're going to be starting to cut back on services. That's the direction I'm seeing this town move in, and I'm worried about it. And with all of the ideas that this company, this development company, is trying to harm our community, I don't think that's what's going on. I think we have a small staff that's overburdened right now because this is a huge project that they've never had to deal with. And as a result of that, there's very complicated issues that have to be resolved. And they haven't been worked on. They should have been working on these way back. Now, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus here. There's people that have been working from our staff to try to make things happen. But then there was a period of time where people have decided maybe this is not what we want for our town. And those are things that cause delays too. So there's a lot of things causing the delays, and we need to get on the snide and start moving toward resolutions of these issues. I don't think it prevents us from doing that if we were to move forward for this, the $1.2 million for the...
Wally, may I?
Sure, Commissioner Rudin.
1.2 is very inviting. We could use the money. Don't get me wrong. Short term. But from what I heard, long term, our revenues generated from that P3, if you would, is going to diminish to where, we're not going to get a whole lot of anything. When I distinctly remember looking at the timeline, after 10 years, the loans would have been paid off, and then after that, our income from there was very little, if anything. Mm-hmm. So for the next 60 years, if you would.
99 years.
Well, total 99, but if it goes through, all right.
It's 99 years.
70 years.
So, point being, while it was negotiated in good faith, with all of these things looked at, and if we're not going to be able to make revenue off of it, substantial revenue, the 1.2 will help us today, but moving forward, we would need a little bit more revenue from them. Is this something we can't table it. Should we bring it to a commission meeting to discuss it? Because it's a little out of the budget, I think. Mm-hmm. My opinion, I don't know.
I wouldn't mind putting it on a budget item on this.
My question.
I mean, not a budget item, but I'm sorry, an agenda item for the next commission hearing.
Are you asking me for? Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe Tom can jump in, but the recommendation would be that if you're going to talk about this, do it as soon as possible so that there is a chance to try and resolve some of these issues, maybe and enable the things to move forward. If that's your position, we can add it tomorrow as an item if that's your direction.
I like it.
Tom, is there a concern with adding it to the agenda for tomorrow?
I don't have one.
Okay.
Would there be a notice issue?
Yeah, I was going to ask Nadia that.
Not a notice requirement to add things to an agenda. You can add an agenda item on the day of the meeting. There's actually a case. Yeah, you can't do it at a workshop. You can add it, but you can give direction to put it on the agenda. There's a case out of the 4th DCA that involved the city of Riviera Beach where an item was added to the agenda on the day of the meeting, and somebody sued the city and said that was illegal, and the 4th District Court of Appeals said, no, it's not.
So may I ask a question?
Commissioner O'Rourke.
I'm going to go back, and I use this as an example. This is just an example of one of the things that we would be working on with regard to the developer and how we try to negotiate more revenue, which is something we need to do. I recognize that. If we were to say to the developer, for example, there's 2 pods here, one in the P3 area, one is for the hotel, one's for the dry dock area, okay? We're not going to combine those unless we start resolving some of these revenue issues. If they were presented with something like that, you don't think they would come forward and say, let's negotiate, let's do something?
But my concern with that, if you mind if I speak. Okay.
We're having a very nice discussion.
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
Yes, we are. The hotel component had nothing to do with the reverter clause whatsoever.
Understood.
So, and that was the first component that was to be submitted. Right?
Understood.
What happened?
What do you mean what happened?
Why are we at this point where we still don't see any construction? I'm just saying, in your own thoughts,
I wasn't here 2 years ago, so I'm bailing out on that one.
no financials have been submitted since day one. And I think you were around here at that time.
I believe that, well, I'm not going to speak for the developer. I'm not the developer. So.
It's what you think.
I'm sure there's several reasons why they might have done that. There's got to be some type of process from the town that says these were due, they're not due. Now there has to be some type of consequence to that, and I don't see that any of that has happened.
Town manager.
And just for the sake of history, because you guys aren't tracking everything that we're doing staff-wise. So
Right.
it's fair.
Correct. You can fill the gaps.
So just, since, of course, I got here in January, we started an internal review team that included the attorney, the community development director, the now finance director, who was the acting at the time, Jason, the marina director, and the former assistant. And we started reviewing the document almost immediately when I got here. And we learned real quick that not everyone had a full understanding of all the pieces. And so that's why it was helpful for us to do that. We met with the developer almost immediately after. But prior to that, when they had made their submittals for their PUD and their site plans, there were multiple occasions where the comments indicated that, because we didn't even have to review the plans. We did as a courtesy because we wanted the project to move forward. But one of the comments was that the comprehensive plan needed to be amended to have either the 4 site plans or go to the 2.
It's the
It's really-
comprehensive agreement. It's, this
not
has
a plan, right?
Make sure
nothing to do with the
Make
comprehensive
sure you
plan.
say the comprehensive
When I
agreement
said the
for the
plans,
record.
I guess I meant when
Right.
Nadia was reviewing the site plans, there were comments or RAIs, requests for additional information, to the developer, with the comments that the comprehensive plan needed to be amended to provide for either 2, or you have to present it as 2. And it kept, I guess the multiple times that it was presented, and Nadia, it was around the summer of 2024, and then later around October, November, and December, there were additional comments and submittals and working with the developer, and there were continued discussions that it's being proposed as 2 pods or 2 site plans, but the comprehensive plan required 4, or the comprehensive agreement, excuse me, I hear it. But that didn't preclude us from continuing to work with them and provide them with comments on how they can proceed forward with getting approval for the PUD or the site plans.
Yes, we continued reviewing throughout 2024. The last set of comments before the most recent submittal were issued as late as, I want to say, early December of 24. Don't quote me on that, but it was around that time frame.
And then there were multiple meetings, multiple emails, multiple conversations, talking about that particular issue, as well as a number of other issues that we had with regards to the comprehensive agreement. And we've talked about it recently probably is June, I think. Tom, maybe you can, it was around that time. They've submitted a couple of proposed changes to the comprehensive agreement. It did not include these, the issue with regards to the pods. They've since provided a plan, site plans for 4 pods. And they've indicated that we would work on the comprehensive agreement after the reverter clauses, so I think that there has been discussion about it, but at what point do we make sure that the issues are resolved? When does that happen?
If I may, was there any agreement ever entered into with the developer that we would go forward with the reverter if they submitted information that was required through?
We never got.
You never tried to tie that.
We
to
never.
that?
The most recent discussions never got into the details of the financials or the term.
And I understand, because you're coming and this is all fresh to you. You don't. Prior to you being there, Mr. Reed, I'll call you Mr. Reed, right, Rich? Prior to you getting there, who was, and I don't mean to be disrespectful here. This is not why I'm bringing these things up. There was no town manager around for a while, really. There was an interim town manager, but, and again, not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm not sure that the interim town manager was prepared to be able to deal with the issues that you are now dealing with. So there was a period of time in there where things didn't happen. Is that correct?
I don't know the reason why, but I think that there was a period of let's wait until the new manager comes in. But that wouldn't preclude being able to answer the comments to community development and continuing forward with the PUD and the site plan process. But you're absolutely right that, the direction, there was an intent that when the manager got here, there would be direction on it.
All right, I'm kind of beating this horse to death. I'm going to leave it at this, that we need to start working with them, start pushing them to get things done. And if it's not going to get done, maybe he's right. Maybe reverter, you say to him, sorry, we're not going to go for the reverter here because you have not done this. Maybe it's time to do that. I don't know, but certainly when you're negotiating deals, and I think we've seen a lot of that going on lately, that there's a different way to do this, that you have to sometime put your foot down and say, look, we got to do this. And doesn't seem like we're there.
And let me just say this,
Yes,
Commissioner
okay.
Wright.
I'm finished
I'm not,
with my
no,
comments.
I just want to say to you, I'm not saying this is not a great project. This is a great project.
Well,
It's
there's holes in it right now. So.
You took what I said. There's holes in it. There's inconsistencies in it. And that's what I'm pointing out.
Okay.
Commissioner Linden.
Thank you. I'll ask the town attorney because I may have used the wrong word. I said advantage if it doesn't go forward. September in Tallahassee, if the paperwork gets signed and off by the governor, what exactly happens?
The marina essentially becomes controlled by the developer, and the terms of the comprehensive agreement that are currently not resolved, will not have been resolved. So I don't know what happens in terms of whether after they have a control over the marina, they're going to be wanting to discuss the revenues that are coming into the marina, because those revenues are controlled by the comprehensive agreement as it exists now. There are a number of provisions in the comprehensive agreement that are more than just loose ends. There are material issues to the agreement that need to be resolved. And so the best time to resolve them is while you still have control over your marina.
Okay, so that being said and done, well, I agree we need to get together and talk with them. Did we submit the application to the governor for this, or did they?
The town is the applicant for
Okay.
all applications because
All
it's
right.
the town's property. So the town has the application to modify the deed restrictions, and then separate from that, it has a DEP application to relocate the boat launch area. That boat launch area is in turn affected by the comprehensive agreement to the extent the comprehensive agreement requires an individual site plan for the marina. So there's the potential there for the boat launch to be in a location per the permit, the DEP permit, that may or may not be consistent with ultimately what community development staff recommends with respect to the marina site plan.
So if tomorrow night, we do have the meeting, and if we were to cancel the first meeting in Tallahassee, that would give time for us, the town, to talk to, you're shaking your head.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I believe this is the last opportunity they have for the reverter in this budget term.
I don't know.
The governor and cabinet, TIF, meets quarterly. Their next meeting is in December.
So, I'm sorry. So that would give time, I hate to say renegotiate, but that's basically what it is. And they're still, we're not firing them, obviously, or breaking the contract. But if we set up a timeline to have meetings, then we should be able to get something resolved amicably by both parties to maybe make that December or maybe February, March, or whatever it may be. Just my observation. We stop it and then we go back, but nothing's concrete and nothing's finalized until that meeting, whenever it may happen.
All set?
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
I just want, Vice Mayor.
I got a question for the mayor. Are we given direction to put this on the agenda for tomorrow night?
Well, there has to be consensus, so I'm looking for consensus.
I think I'm in favor.
But I haven't heard from Commissioner Thomas yet, who is sitting here very gingerly. But it sounds like I'm getting consensus on this side.
Yeah, but it needs to be formal from you, but yeah.
I've already stated I'd like this to be placed on the agenda for tomorrow night's
All right,
regular
and,
commission
yeah,
meeting,
I would, yeah, consent.
just in
to
case it needs to be on the record.
that. Okay.
Okay.
Commissioner Thomas.
There's been a little segue, so I just want to bring us back. So we are discussing the budget, right?
Right.
Okay. And then it's sort of like had a segue to us talking about an item that's going to go, that would like to be placed on the town agenda on tomorrow. So am I making a comment in regards to the budget right now, or are you looking for a consensus to
A little bit
Maybe.
of, a little bit of both, because in my discussion of the Segway, I specified the numbers as a result of what that project will be as it relates to the budget, because the 1.2 million, as you stated, is an in and out effect. We're going in and out with that 1.2 million. However, all the Segway hinges on that 1.2 million.
Okay. Okay. I would like to say that when I don't know what I don't know, I don't know. And it might sound confusing, but when I came on this dais as a commissioner, my first review of the P3 agreement was really at the end, and that was like, hey, we're signing this and then, moving on, because I didn't have the understanding really of all of the elements of the agreement. As I'm sitting and looking and really studying it, I now know. So when you know something, you try to do something better, because now I know what I know. And what I didn't know before, I just didn't know. And I do rely on my professional staff. I will say that I was one of the individuals who had spoken to Forrest prior to our new town manager coming in and saying, listen, we hired someone in September and they accepted. However, that person doesn't start until January, and that person who will start will need some time to really get up to speed on what needs to the agreement, etc. I will commend our town manager, Mr. Reed, on this. And I also want to say, because I heard a comment made this afternoon, and it's a little disappointing to me, but everyone has the right to state what they want to state. Nadia, you have been here, I would say, almost like 15 years. Oh, 18 years. Higher? Okay. I remember when you were a neophyte planner. And you came here and you really didn't, you were just an entry-level planner coming here to our little small town learning. I commend you for where you are now. There's a lot of growth there. And even though I was a senior planner when you came here, we worked together. I didn't feel as though you weren't capable. I believed everyone gambled on that chance of, we have someone here who's open to learn. And so I say this to you, you're doing a great job, okay? And I've seen your growth over those years because I remember you coming here. Yes, this project is one of the largest projects that we have had in our town, but it doesn't mean that you're not capable or competent enough to do it. And in fact, I remember when Nautilus came to the town, and you and I and other planners that were on the Planning and Zoning Board at the time had a deep discussion on what we thought was fair and what would be good for our town. Having said that, I want you to know that you do a great job for our town. And I'm saying that not only as a commissioner that sits here, but also as a fellow planner that's not practicing, but yet knows this stuff. Okay. Having said that, there are some errors that were here, and I would say that the fault, and I'm not one of those who really point finger, but I am going to point finger tonight. we had an individual that was here who was supposed to look at the interests of both the town and the developer. And we left that up to that individual to bring those issues to our town, because at the end of the day, it's the public benefit. And that individual is or was a consultant for government. That means a consultant for the people, by the people, okay? Now, as I look at this agreement, I'm uncomfortable with it, very uncomfortable, because I don't believe that that individual really took into account the benefit of the public. I don't have a problem with Forest Development being our partner, but as partners, let's be partners in this. After 10 years, because this is a 99-year lease, what happens? The things start looking like garbage, and then we're given garbage after 25 years, and then we don't have anything or any revenues here in order to improve that. One of the questions that I went back to and I asked Forrest, and I'll put this on the record because I speak, and that is, I asked, is there any way that we could have looked at something where the lease wasn't as long? You know, we are now in an age where 99-year leases, is that a doable project now? You know, years ago, they did 99 years leases on public property. I was informed, and so when I hear Commissioner says not wanting like to work together, I would say that they have engaged me. When I say they, Forest Development have engaged me, and I've said, hey, I've asked questions with the intent that whatever is being asked is for the benefit of our public. 99 years, I want to live until 100, but 99 years from now, I'm not going to be 100. I'm going to be beyond that. I'll be Methuselah. But nevertheless, here's the situation. Where none of us are going to be here. It's going to be our children's children looking at this mess that's been left for us. And I am a true proponent that I want to leave this world better than what I now have. And with that being said, I don't necessarily want my children's children to be holding the bag for me and saying, they have now put an anchor around my neck and I can't survive with this. I like Forest Development as a partner, but I don't want a lopsided partnership either. And I want to see something that is going to come to fruition. So let's stop even the delay. Let's even just start with Nautilus. I ain't even talking about the P3 project. I'm just talking about Nautilus, because Nautilus came in here before the P3 agreement. What's stopping them? Staff delay? I don't think so. Material delay? I don't think so. It is their own issue that has stopped them, i.e., they built a building without adequate lift in order to move that along, and then they're in a situation where they have a high water table. I don't know. I'm not an engineer, but you know, you put a hole in something and it ain't holding it, it's going to leak. And this is where we are. So the delay. So now you say to yourself, okay, fine, here's a delay. That's not a delay on staff. That right there would give the town the residents of the town, a lot more credibility with the development if they even saw something that was complete. The community haven't seen anything that's complete, and yet the community now is being asked, here, this is an incomplete project, but we want to even go further with you. We're going to not be very upfront with how much money you're going to get. We're going to give you a little bit of money in the front end, and then we're going to totally we're going to make the money, but you're not going to do anything to us. And we're going to looking at you and say, hello. That's not fair. That's not a partnership. And at the end of the day, this town would have to figure out how we're going to be solvent while the developer decides whatever. And I'm not talking negatively. I'm saying to the self that we have 9,400 people in our town, and it's going to grow. but I want it to grow for the betterment. I don't want it to grow and someone says, wow, we got this big structure up here and everything else looks crappy. I will tell you that I've spoken to our town manager and I said, I'm concerned because Nautilus isn't here, and then we were promised a hotel and the hotel isn't here, and what if they decide like to leave? And I'm sitting up here now with what? And that has been a discussion that I know that I've spoken to the town manager on several occasions about, and I didn't bring it here, but it is a conversation that I've had with you. Okay. I'm looking at these numbers, and again, I keep saying, what does that mean? Am I going to count on that, or am I not going to count on it, right? And now I have this opportunity to have this conversation in transparency, in the open, and I am concerned. And I will say to you, because before the reverter, if anyone was here before, I kept asking when the site plan was going through back in '23, I said, can we move forward and there's a reverter here? You know, do we have to like stop because we're going to need an additional agreement from the state on this? And the comment was, well, we can continue like moving along and they could kind of like submit it, but at the end, we will have to go before the state. So I don't believe that we have even stopped. I think that when I say we, I mean the town. The developer had an opportunity and has this opportunity to have presented it and did present, but we're still in this situation right now. So I would say that I feel as a town, and I feel when I say as a town, I mean the residents that speak with me and those who don't speak with me, but for the eyes that I see, because I would want something much better than what I have, because I'm passionate about this town. Show us something of value. Don't promise us something and then don't deliver. And they haven't delivered. And I'm still supporting them with this. But this, so with that being said, the mayor, my position would be, stop. Right now, we have something that we can work with, that we could have some renegotiation of what the revenue streams would be, how things would go. But no, because in my mind, there isn't good faith, because to say that, here, we want to concentrate on the marina and not give us the hotel, what's that? And I'm just going to go on record. Who you selling the hotel? Who you selling the marina to? Because most recently, this weekend alone, one of my constituents sent me a link and the information that was out there about projects that are happening in our town by this developer, and that, I don't know about you, but I know I haven't seen them yet on this dais to be advertised. And I even sent it to the town manager and to our town attorney and says, is this right? How can this happen? How can this be stated and there's been no approval? To me, that's called false advertising. I don't know if those are laws that still exist, but, you know, that's considered false advertisement. And so I would say that until you can prove that to us, because I'm a doubting Thomas, my name is Thomas, I'm a doubter, you know, prove it to me, right? And let me see it, because I'm still here with you. I still want to be your partner. In fact, I am your partner. But let's be a partner for the benefit of our town. We only 2.4 square miles. That's it. And I want to maintain a beautiful community for us, but not just for the people that are here. We've lasted 100 years here in this town, 100 years. And 100 years, I want us to move forward. And 3 years after that, is it 3? 2 years after our 100-year celebration, people are still wanting to come to our community. So I want it to continue to be a desirable place for them to come. But let's make sure that, too, not only that it is desirable, but also, too, that we are solvent. Because almost 10 years ago, we were looking to ask the governor to take us over. And I'm sorry, for anyone who wants that, I do not want that. I want to know this as being the town of Lake Park, where I've raised my children and where I've met the best people who we've been able to debate and come together, because we are a unique community. And so give us what we are worth, not what you think you want to give us. And so with that in mind, Mayor, you have my consensus to hold off on, or excuse me, I wouldn't say hold off, but to present, because that's the question that you would ask, is to have this on the agenda for tomorrow night if we can, to have this on the agenda for tomorrow night so that we can have it in full discussion appropriately. Now, having said that, town attorney, would this be considered a quasi-judicial issue?
No.
Okay, so then we wouldn't have any concerns as it relates to advertising it ahead of time?
No.
Okay, are you on record?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so that's my spiel. Thank you.
Okay, trying to get back on record. Trying to get back to the narrative now. Please continue.
Okay, so we've talked about the P3 and the revenues, but are there other questions about line items in the marina budget?
I think from what the pulse of the dais was, I think we addressed it.
I had a nod there.
Unless
Well,
Commissioner
yeah, because I
Thomas-
still don't know where the 1.2 is like going to come from. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna play havoc on us. You know?
And I'll wait for direction tomorrow night.
Yeah, right. So it's like, what we gonna do? That's a huge portion of it. As I went and I looked at, what salaries, just looking even at salaries to operate, there, workman's comp, et cetera, we're talking about over $680,000 just for our employees like to be there. So 1.2 ain't get it. It's not gonna cut it.
Yeah.
Just for that one time. So I agree with our Commissioner Linden. I agree also with my commissioner here on my right, O'Rourke. Thank you very much. But I also, I agree, we need to work this thing out. But this is the opportunity for us to do it, so yes, we may have to just wait on this one.
And that's fine. So,
Tomorrow.
And that would be exactly, depending on what happens going forward and if the reverter clauses, again, this fund would look completely different than what it looks like today. So,
Okay, so I think we've exhausted the marina, the marina part of the budget. So moving on to
so we're on to stormwater.
Stormwater.
Okay, so in stormwater, our major revenue is stormwater assessments. There is an annual increase in the 25-26 budget, which was approved by the Town Commission as recommended in the 2023 stormwater rate study to ensure proper support of the town's stormwater utility, growing infrastructure needs, including pipe rehabilitation, vehicle replacement, and compliance requirements and funding reserves. Additionally, the town expects to apply for a number of new state drainage and stormwater grants in fiscal year 25-26 that may be awarded in 25-26 to support continued stormwater improvements that are being made within the town. So with that being our major revenue, we're going to look at some of our expenditures. And again, summarized expenditures, the personnel costs, the operating expenditures, capital outlay, and debt. There is no debt there. There is one vehicle. There's two vehicles. One is more expensive than the other, proposed, and they would be paid for outright in this budget because the Stormwater Fund has the available cash. So in the personnel expenditures, of course, we've got the annual COLA and merit, the increase in employee benefits, including the health insurance, et cetera, and the new FRS retirement costs. In operating expenditures, there is a reduction in total operating expenditures this year, but the biggest expenditure is always going to be repairs and maintenance of stormwater system lines, whether it's new pipes and culverts, cure in place lining of pipes, or, again, further repair that need to be done. Capital outlay, we've got the new VACCON truck that we want to purchase, and we're doing a MadVac litter vacuum, which Jamie could tell you what it actually looks like and what it does, because I don't know. And that will pick up items that will get into our water, or stormwater that we don't want to get there. Additionally, indirect, other uses, it's our indirect cost allocation for, again, general fund expenditures that take care of stormwater expenses that they don't provide the staffing for. And there's a small contingency included this year where, depending upon what we move forward with, we may or may not need to spend for some design or other work that we don't know about right now.
And Mr. Mayor, and Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, but basically it's a little vehicle that we drive around, has a big old tube that's a vacuum that as we're driving by will suck up everything out of the ditches, out of the culverts. We can move it around and different things, but again, as we put up there, it replaces, what, if we had a number of people just picking up litter and doing that, this would be a much quicker and much more productive way of being able to keep things out of our out of our drains and blocking our drains and allowing water to flow quicker. So it's an opportunity to look at something a little different and be a little bit more productive. So I appreciate Jamie being, creative and looking at new ways to kind of promote, the flow of water, to where it needs to go properly. So.
Just to add, it also allows us to meet MP.
Come to the mic, Jamie.
Just to add, good afternoon, Jamie Morales, Public Works. It also helps us add to the functionality of the MPDS permit and the requirements for the state. So.
And you'll see this again in your CIP when we bring back the CIP. So this, although it's funded here, it'll be shown in your CIP showing the plan for the purchase.
Thank you, Jamie. Are there any questions on this? Commissioner Linden.
Thank you. Barbara, you may or may not be able to answer this, and I'd understand it, but we spent an extreme large amount of money having this unit rebuilt and redone to last a number of years. Is it my understanding that that time has worn out? That was about maybe 3 to 5 years ago maximum, where we spent well over $150,000, if I remember correctly, to have that unit rebuilt.
That, I'm going to defer to Jamie on that because I know what you're asking, but I don't know the answer to
That's
that question.
fine.
Commissioner, are you asking to the vac truck, the current vac truck?
Yes.
Yes, it was in 2009. So it's gotten to a point that we have to start getting repairs, so we have to replace it. It's gone to its life cycle already, and now we're investing on repairing it.
Well, I heard that same statement where we didn't necessarily have the money to replace it, and that's why we took that large sum of money to redo it and rebuild it to get a longer life than the average life expectancy of that vehicle. So that money just didn't do it. The vehicle's not up to doing its job. Is that what you're telling me?
I cannot answer what happened prior to me being here, but I just know that it was within the schedule and within the rate plan to replace the equipment due to the age and the life cycle of it. And I could just give you the feedback that it's currently been repaired a couple of times. So by the amount of money you're going to invest on repairing a unit, when you know you have to replace it, it's just patching something that you know that at the end of the day, you're going to have to replace. So either you continue to spend your money on repairs, or you buy the unit that you know you have to buy. It's the decision that the commission has to make.
And Barbara, I'm looking for that line item, and I was trying to do it quickly. The cost to replace that unit.
Okay, so it would be on stormwater expenditures, page 3, under capital outlay.
Vehicles,
Vehicles.
it's $755,000.
So that's for the 2 vehicles. And if you go into the backup that's behind that, almost all the way to the end, it tells you the MADVAC.
Thank you.
So second to last sheet of paper in that tab.
So the sub-object is 66900, says vehicles.
I haven't.
And Jamie, what's the average life expectancy of those vehicles?
Approximately 5 to 7 years.
And that's 2009.
2009, correct. And this was already ordered, so this one was part of the 3 vehicles that we put the placement, the order for, and we have not received yet, but it's going to hit our books on this fiscal year as we receive it in December.
Okay.
All right, well, we've already ordered it and it's coming in, so we're kind of like stuck. My issue is, and it's the same question I asked a few years ago to a former, the life expectancy of a truck or a vehicle, and I never got a straight answer, was based on how many hours of operation and how was that determined? And it was the life expectancy and when the vehicle was built. So when I look at these schedules, this truck should be replaced. As Commissioner Thomas said, we're a little town, 2.1. And unlike Riviera Beach, with 3 to 4 times the space, I don't know exact amount, but that's not comparing apples to apples. So a small town, in my thought, would be able to get a longer lifespan out of a vehicle that's costing us $635,000. And you're saying that it's in the condition it is now, and that it's not worth getting repaired?
No, I'm not saying that's not worth getting repaired. It's that when you do a cost analysis, you have to make a decision. The vehicle, your current vehicle right now has almost 15 to 16 years. Are you going to continue to invest money on repairing the equipment, knowing that you have to change the equipment when you have the money, when you have already programmed to change it? Or are you going to continue to invest on the repairs, which you know at the end of the day, you're still going to have to cough up the money to get the new equipment? So are you rather saying, I'd rather buy the equipment because it's more cost efficient and save the money that I have to pay on repairing the equipment? I could do other things. The decision is on the commission. I just could give you the facts. But if we look at the analysis, it's telling you you're investing money on repairing the equipment when you know you have to buy the equipment and replace the equipment.
Well, okay, and it's almost not a valid point from my part because we already ordered it and the money was allocated and approved. But moving forward, when another vehicle of that size needs to be replaced, we're going to have a much longer discussion because there's a lot of errors, especially since we spent $150,000 minimum to bring this up to speed with everything new that it needed. So not a whole lot that can be said or done. We can't cancel the order because it's due in December, but future discussions will rely a lot upon that.
So with all due respect, Commissioner, that just reinforced what I'm telling you. We spend $150,000, or I don't know, I wasn't here, to bring the equipment up to scale, right? But now it's giving us problems again. You have to make that decision. Are you going to reinvest another 100 and something or buy the units you know you have to replace? That's the decision that we have to make.
Well, we'll put it to bed real quick. If we've got to invest another 150, it's just going to prolong the replacement of it. So it's already here. It's in the books, ordered. And the delay was due to COVID. And I'd have had a much better argument if it was a couple of years ago based on what we had already done to it. So, all right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Town manager.
And Jamie, if you'll just hold on one second. And I know Jamie has brought this up to me a number of times, and I appreciate Jamie. One of the things that Jamie wants to work towards moving forward with is an asset management plan or a program and software that, Mr. Commissioner, that will help to address some of the issues that you're concerned about as well, and we'll be able to better document some of these issues and be able to provide a little bit more data on some of this. So I know it's probably not a tomorrow thing, but I know it's something that's important to Jamie to try and do, because it's not just for vehicles and equipment. It's also for our buildings. It's also for our roadways and different facilities all throughout our town. So we know when their life cycle expires, and when we need to, start including in our CIP funding and improvements for those types of things. So I hear it, and we'll keep working at it, and I appreciate your comments. So thank you, and Jamie, thank you as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this, on stormwater?
Yeah, I do. Jamie, well, and also town manager. What if we leased it? I mean, like, what's the, like, when you do lease, because we've leased equipments before, have we not?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
So typically what we do is we get a loan and we pay it in 4 or 5 years. Since we have the money on our books, Barbara has said, why do we have to pay interest on getting the loan? If we can pay it now, we'll pay the unit, and that we are solvent. We're moving to be solvent. If we continue to throw money away, we could do it as a loan. She's the expert. She could allow us how we could do the repayment. I'm just looking at the functionality of the equipment and how can we do an analysis that we can say, okay, this is the proper way of us moving forward, because it makes sense on utilizing more efficiently the resources that we have, rather just spending money on repairs or buying the unit that we know we need.
Okay, and at this point right now, we've been waiting for it for 4 or 5 years.
Pretty much, I could say 3 years. Since 2003 that we put the order, 2004, and 2005, we should get it in December.
Okay.
The best to my recollection. I wasn't here, but that's the best of my recollection.
I can tell you it's something that Jamie's very, very concerned about, and making sure that we get it to the point that we've talked about it, and Tom hasn't heard this yet, but we're going to probably reach out to the attorney and make sure that we do get these pieces of equipment pretty quickly, and see if we need to send a letter to make sure that they come sooner than
later.
We're not continue to wait. So I know Jamie's very concerned, and so Tom,
we've asked the vendor to give us a confirmation.
I just have to do a letter. I don't have to go pick it up.
you have to go get it. We need you to pick it up too.
Yeah, he needs a
If you have
Calvary.
your CDL, you have to have your CDLs. but this is something that we're going to really ensure that we get properly.
You mean you don't want to have dual roles?
So Jamie, since the time we've ordered it, right, what is the approximate cost per year that we are looking at having to repair it?
Well, having to repair it all depends on what type of repair it needs.
Yeah, but just give me
typically, it could go from, we could invest on the unit 60, 30, 40. So it's just throwing money away.
I get that.
Now, if we're going to do a major haul, like he said they did to the unit, which you could do, is 100 and something or whatever the market is at
Right,
value.
right.
But again, you have to, it's like when you're in your home, you have to determine whether I'm going to continue to fix my appliance, right? And I have to invest when I know I have to replace it.
Correct.
You have to make that decision. Is
Right.
it rather to continue to invest on the repairs or just go ahead and buy the new unit?
I get that, but what I was really like asking you about, are we looking at like $30,000 a year that we've had, like having to, an average? Or is that what we've been looking at every year, like to have some type of repair done to it?
Pretty much.
Okay.
So we've had it's from 2009.
I get that,
We
yeah.
just compare.
And so now, when we get the factory purchase brand new, is it from 2018 or is it now 2025
Well,
that we get it?
It should be a new unit. It's a brand new unit. They're building it.
Yeah, but is that built from 2018?
I cannot tell you until I get the unit.
Okay, so you know what I mean, right? Because the VIN number could be 2018, even though it's just coming off the.
Well, we've been waiting. Apparently, they've been short on bodies, so
Okay.
that's what the major hurdle has been. It's just the body. So hopefully,
But then even with that, we only have a useful life of 10 years.
yeah, typically.
Where before
But
it's,
it
I mean,
depends. It depends.
understanding if we service it, et cetera,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, so, okay. It just gets used a lot. It gets used because we only have one.
You only have one. That's it.
Okay, so it's not as though we have two of them that we can switch out. We only have one.
That's the one. That's the only one.
Okay,
And we use it to unclog all type of culverts. We typically to inspect, to wash, to clean, to clear, to inspect for if we need to line it or we need to change pipes. So it's crucial for us and for our system, but we just got one.
okay. Judy Cooper, there can only be one. You know what I mean. Thank you.
All right, any other questions on this budget item? All right, let's get back to narrative again. Any other questions on this budget item? Okay, I think you can move on to sanitation.
So in Oh. So in sanitation, our two major revenues are the commercial user fees and the residential assessments. And again, there's an annual rate increase that's been approved by the town commission as part of the 23 solid waste rate study to ensure proper solid waste collections, including personal expenditures, operating maintenance costs, capital improvements, and replenish reserves. We have here a summary of the expenditures. So personnel expenditures are what they are in every other department, the salaries, the benefits, et cetera. Operating expenditures, the major ones are contractual services, which is vehicle camera monitoring, collection services only if needed, vehicle washing, and then there's other small maintenance services in there. Another large expense are disposal fees. Once we collect all that garbage, we have to pay Solid Waste Authority to take it. Insurance, repairs and maintenance of the vehicles, and the repair and replacement of the residential carts and the commercial dumpsters or containers. In our debt service, there's a repayment for, again, that loan we talked about. You saw it on the general fund side, the $35,000. There's a payment scheduled in there, a financing payment scheduled in there for a new side loader and a new front end loader. Again, these two trucks were previously approved and have the same COVID story that the stormwater truck does. And then additionally, we're still making payments on two other trucks. We're in payment 3 of 4. And so those are all included in the debt section with the principal and interest. Other uses are the transfer to the general fund to support that debt, and then the indirect cost allocation. And there's a very tiny contingency in sanitation of a little bit more than $60,000 that we'll just save for another day.
All set?
I'm set. I can
Any
be at thank you.
questions? Any questions on this particular budget item? Commissioner Linden, got anything?
Yes, I do. And
Okay.
I was shuffling papers trying to find my notes. Thank you for the new one, but my notes aren't on the new
That's
one.
fine.
On the salaries, we have 3 vacant salaries here that exceed $260,000. Are they nice to have or need to have positions?
These are needed positions. We've been posting for them. We just haven't been able to fill them.
So there's a need for 2 foremen, not 1?
So the 2 foremen that you have is one right now moved to operation manager. So that one's vacant, but we typically had 2 foremen, one for commercial and one for residential on the sanitation side. So right now, there is a vacant for the foreman because he transitioned to the operation manager.
All right, and due to the vacations and sick days, I guess the truck operator 1 and 2 would be nice to have, yeah, so, because we're getting a lot of negative pushback on some of the new schedule, and of course, every time something gets put out there, delayed because of this, delayed because of that, and then our phones start to ring for answers, and all right. Okay, so they're not nice, they're just not that extra that you'd like to have. You actually need these.
No, we have not added positions. These are current positions that they've been budgeted for years, for more than 3 or 4 years. They've been in our budget. We just have not been able to fill them.
So it's been vacant for
These
3
are
to
been-
3
These have
years?
been vacant for 3 or 4 years.
And we've been working real well around that?
We've been working without them, and having temp comes in, and having a third party that also supports us with the grapple and such. So it's like I say, when you do the cost analysis, what's the biggest hurdle that you can have, or you continue to contract, or you continue to bring support, or you fill your positions, but you have to create that balance. Right now, you're having a lot of issues with the sanitation and the collection of the sanitation because you have units that we constantly have to send to repair. They break down. So we right now, you may see tomorrow that we had to rent an equipment, a side loader, because our 2 side loaders, the backup and the current one that we had, they're both down. So how can we provide the services that the community needs if we don't have the right equipment, if we don't have the right resources for us to provide the services that the community needs? So you have to do that analysis and say, okay, could we continue to repair these trucks and just throw the money away, or solve the problem temporarily, but in the long run of solving the problem, you're doing a favor on your short end, but not on your long end, because you still know that you need that equipment in order to provide that services. So you have to make that decision, whether you replace the equipment that you really need, or you continue to just patch the one that you have until you could get to that point that you can buy the new equipment. That's what's been happening for years on the sanitation side.
Do we lease or do we own this equipment?
No, we own the equipment. What we do is we have a loan. It's like a typical loan. We have a 4 or 5 year payments, which each year we pay an amount. We have to pay an interest on it, but that's what we do. That's how we pay it.
And we employ 2, 3 mechanics? How many do we have on there?
We have 2 mechanics.
And they're not capable of fixing some of this, or do we have to send this stuff out?
We send the majority of the majority of the repairs for these type of equipment we send out.
All right, different time, different conversation, so thank you.
And just to let you know, last year, this was when we talked budget last year, because I know you weren't on the council then, this was a big concern about these vacancies. And we were trying to understand what was the crux of why we kept these positions so vacant. Since that time, I think you've filled quite a bit. And
We've already filled 3 positions, actually 2 positions, because Dwayne went to the other one. And we've recommended to hire 2 more, which are the 2 operation technicians that we have
I think
here.
part of that is a testament to now the reach you guys have gone with in terms of where you posted these positions, using partly the League of Cities now as
We
a
have
conduit.
changed our hiring process so much, and you're right, our reach is so much different.
Yeah.
The ability, Jamie's now getting, as well as the other directors, 30, 40, 50, 60 applications for every position
Yep.
we're posting, whereas last year at this time we might have had 1 or 2 anytime we did something. And so, yeah, we've made significant strides, not to where we want to be, but we've made significant strides, and I appreciate our staff's support. And of course, Debbie and Bambi before, we've made just night and day changes. So, and again, the 2 positions that you see that are lower than the foreman, those are getting ready to either be provided with conditional offers, or they have been. The new one with the foreman was just a recent promotion because it's really important for us to continue succession planning and, creating a culture throughout. And Jamie, feels very strongly in the gentleman who's being promoted, and he's done a great job for us. He actually was in the position, stepped down selflessly to help with the commercial side, and now there's an opportunity, and it's really a testament to his work ethic and Jamie's leadership to be able to promote that succession planning. But I can assure you, we're not in the same position as we were, previously, and we're going to keep growing at it, I promise. So.
And Jamie, we appreciate you for what you do, because I also heard you have painting skills as well, that you helped out with the public library, and it shows that you're multifaceted in all things aside from being the director and the leader.
Our teamwork.
All right, so Commissioner O'Rourke.
Thank you. Jamie, I have a question for you. How many total employees are there in sanitation?
Sanitation, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. 9.
Really? Yeah. Okay, yeah, okay. Okay. Okay, that kind of, there aren't more people than 9 over there? Last time I was over there was a lot more than that.
Well, remember, we have different crews. We
Okay.
have sanitation, we have grounds.
Okay, so this is only sanitation then?
Yes,
Okay, all
sanitation,
right.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I'm getting confused about, okay. Because Public Works, there's a whole,
Well, Public
different
Works were
staff.
23, and
okay, that's what I'm thinking of, okay. How many employees are, and this is not your question, this would be for Barbara or for the Marina Director. How many employees are with the Marina?
So you have a listing of the
6.
employees, yes.
Thank you. Okay.
And there's 2 vacancies at this point. There are 2 vacancies at this point in the marina.
Okay. All right, I was just looking at those numbers. I was trying to figure out how many, what bang we get for our buck there, and, okay. I have no further questions at this time with regard to the employment.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Thomas.
Jamie?
Yes, ma'am?
You do a great job.
Thank you.
However, there's a but. There's a but. The but is, recently we changed our sanitation and, well, no, really, I think it's maybe our recycling schedule,
Most
a
impact,
little
yeah.
tweak, And I just kind of like felt that maybe the way we rolled it out wasn't the best, or noticed or advertised, the best, because I started getting calls in regards to this, and may have even shared emails with you on, some of the concerns that were actually videoed and then, sent to me. And while we all know, and I want to make sure too, this is something too that I want to put on the record. Last year we got we understood what the 5-year plan was for stormwater as well as for sanitation, and it just kind of behooves me why it has have to come back every single year for that approval, because we knew at the time when the plan was done what the sanitation costs would be. But I'm just concerned about the operations on not being clear, especially the residents. And then some residents may have received notification on, okay, these is our new schedule for it and some did not. There were a few neighbors that did not receive new notices on what the change, what the new change schedule would be. I did not, but I was okay because I was here the night before, and so I followed that list that was from the end of June when we were initially going to make that change. So that was the thing. But I'm asking, how else have we informed the public about the new schedule? What have we done to make sure that they are aware of it? And I know I could see Meryl coming around telling me that she put it on Facebook, that she didn't put it on, the newsletter, and that she's going to tell me that she put it on Instagram or whatever it is, something like that.
Hi, Miss Merrill.
And a flyer that went out.
I know she's going to tell me all of that,
Sit down then.
But I want to know, had we put it also on our marquee out here, so that people knew, and the town knew as they drove by that this was, the change?
As much as I would like to, that's too large to fit in that tiny thing. People would literally have to stop.
Garbage pickup Monday.
So
You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to put, you could just tell them what the date is. It's just me, okay? Because I'm not there. I'm not in your, I'm not at your desk. I'm just looking at from a practical point of view from us, passing by. Tuesday, Thursday, garbage. You know what I mean? Wednesday or Friday, recycling. It doesn't need to be any, in my opinion, any more than that. But what has consistently come back to me is that people are putting out, stuff when they're not supposed to because they're looking at what their former schedule was, and that was just bad. That's all I had to say.
Okay, and that's definitely something we hadn't considered, breaking it up into chunks like that.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea. And I have discussed with the town manager that once we have something finalized,
Yeah.
what we were thinking of doing is creating magnets, as you and I had discussed.
Yes.
And we'd have the magnets, we'd have them here. We could have them in local businesses that are willing to have them, where people could just, kind of grab it out of a fishbowl or something like that to have a magnet handy. So it's always available for them.
Yeah. Thank you, Meryl, on that. Jamie, thank you. You have just been a light for me. I've had an opportunity to go out and with you to see what's going on, even have, questions, with you on that. So my one question is, how comes we didn't, at least I didn't receive any notice that stormwater there was going to be new stormwater piping put down on between 3rd and 2nd off of Jasmine?
Well, we put hangers, and we also communicated.
On who?
with-
Just the people that was in front?
Yeah, to the impact. But we posted, as we always do, we posted in all our medias, and we hanged on the impact properties.
Okay, let me stop right now.
Okay.
The people that's there aren't the only people that use that area. So when you see big blockades, you want to know, hey, what's going on? Maybe up and down the street. I'm just saying.
It's okay.
Because, and the only thing is that my finger couldn't dial it because my memory is so short. Is that when I saw it, I was, oh yeah, I got to do it. And then I forgot. Then I saw it again, oh, I got to do it. And then I forgot. But I was just thinking, if everyone on that street was probably just notified, or at least, informed about what was happening.
Okay.
Because they're not the only persons that use it, that was being immediately impacted. But that's all.
I thought they had done the whole road.
No,
but-
they
But
didn't.
I'll confirm,
No.
and good point.
No,
Couldn't
they
take it.
they didn't, or some type of hanger, or even don't post my house though, okay? Don't put no big sign on there. They might think I'm
I
evicted.
think they did the.
No, just the door hangers. No, don't put that eviction.
I'm not
no,
laughing
no,
at what
it's all
you're
right.
saying.
We can laugh.
I'm laughing at Roger, not
Yeah.
what you're saying.
I get you. Anyways,
Commissioner O'Rourke, I forgot Vice Mayor had
Okay.
raised his hand first, if you don't mind. Thank you, I appreciate that. Vice Mayor?
Yeah. Excuse me. I had the same questions about the vacancies that I even talked to the town manager about. Thank you for clearing that up with us. I got a few of the same emails that Commissioner Lending received. But I believe, I was thinking, excuse me, I'm choking over here. I was thinking about what Commissioner Thomas was saying about the rollout, and I was actually thinking about it last night, and I believe the rollout was kind of bad because the first week was a delay. It was June 10th. Then you had 4th of July. And so every day was an adjustment because all the holidays was back to back. And so residents I would come out and they would kind of ask me, what day are we coming this day? So everything was delayed so I don't think it was a terrible rollout. I just think the timing was like a little.
And we own that. We own, and we admit that we could have done better. Probably pushed it out for a further month, and because it was a challenge, because of the holidays and such. And now, on top of that, we have our 2 units that went down. So we're trying to do as best as possible. They're doing even overtime to try to meet the level of service.
And I commend you guys one day on that, I don't know if it was everybody, 800 block of Hawthorne. You got the blue, but you didn't get the green, and you came the next day on Saturday and got the green. I appreciate that. So, but that's the community. I just believe that was the problem. But other than that, I like the schedule. I think a lot more communication once we get set, we'll be good to go.
Commissioner O'Rourke.
Well, thank you. First, I heard you take responsibility for that. You sounded a little bit like the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers or something like that. But let me get to my question instead of my jabs.
Not going to say nothing right now. This is the perfect way to go.
I got nothing to say. As you know, I'm a Jets fan. So, okay. On operating expenses, on item disposal fees, garbage, I wanted to talk to you about that. This is something, I'm a little bit of a geek on this garbage stuff, okay? Currently in our town, we provide services for garbage, the gray bins. We provide service for recycling, and we provide service for bulk.
And vegetation.
Correct.
Vegetation, okay, so 4, right? Which one costs the most?
Good question.
Well, if you consider the most that costs is regular garbage.
Regular garbage.
Regular garbage.
Because of the weight of the regular garbage,
The
correct?
amount.
People use their regular garbage. I want to be clear so everybody can hear this. People use their regular garbage pickup to put yard waste. You're aware of that, right? That
Shouldn't
works against
be. Yes. Cross-contamination.
Garbage pickup process, and it makes the garbage that we pick up more expensive, correct?
That's correct.
Would it be a good idea to help with this budget item if we were to put into an ordinance in place that prohibited yard waste in garbage bins?
It could. We have to modify our code, and it does. And bring in, like we've proposed last year, an inspector, or not an inspector, a code enforcement component in the sanitation element, which we don't have.
Okay, well, maybe an inspector, never mind the code guy.
Code.
But again, it would have an impact on the overall weight of the garbage that you have to pick up, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. The other one is the bulk pickup. Is that another expensive?
That is correct.
Okay. And currently we have that every week, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Would it be helpful to limit bulk pickup to 2 times a month?
We could look into it. Now, again, we've proposed the modification on the schedule, right, based on looking at patterns, but it doesn't mean we could reassess and modify the current schedule based on your suggestion, which I believe it has merit.
Okay. The next thing I wanted to address is the recycling. Would it help if we changed our recycling to alternating blue bins and green bins weekly?
We could.
Would that help alleviate some of the problems with stressing our equipment?
Yes, it would.
If we also added to that, and here's an opinion here of mine, that the recycling system that we have is pretty much useless. Would you? I don't want you to agree with that. That might be too much, but it should be looked at again. Would you say that?
Yes, I could give you a perspective. We do not generate any revenues with the recycling. It's a cost.
That was its intention when we started putting the recycling program together.
That's
and
correct.
not we, I mean the county, all waste management. I mean the waste disposal system that we have, or the recycling system that we have. A second issue with regard to the recycling is when we use cardboard, if you leave the bins open,
They get wet and they weigh
the
more.
cardboard gets wet and the weight of the cardboard drastically increases the weight of what would be a recycling, what is supposed to be a recycling product, correct?
That is correct.
So if we, and I hate to do it as like the stick type of thing, but I don't know how else we can deal with this. I like the town manager's approach toward ordinance violations, that we're more forgiving and that we're more educational in our response toward ordinance violations, which is, I think, the proper approach instead of hitting people with sticks all the time. But when people understand, I see Michael in the back nodding there, these things, I don't know if, we talk about notice to our community. I don't even know if people know that these things really increase the cost of things. Right now, the garbage expense is almost $300,000 a year to get rid of the bulk garbage. If we could reduce that by $50,000 by putting yard waste out at a different time and doing it in the proper way. Yard waste, what is the impact with regard to yard waste if it's done the proper way?
Well, the impact of it, we could reduce costs, obviously, in the disposal fees if we properly dispose of the items that we need. Sometimes we encounter that we have additional items that are not within the normal scale that we would say just construction debris, and that adds to the cost of us disposing of that type of material.
Well, that brings up something else. When you have construction costs and you have people doing permitting projects in our town, and they put waste from construction into bulk pickup, which is not allowed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And yet, those are probably the most expensive things that increase the cost of our bulk pickup, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So I'm bringing these things up. I don't know how many people actually listen to these recordings, but these are issues that make our sanitation department less efficient because you're increasing the expenses to our towns, the cost of running a sanitation department. So I wanted to bring those up, and I'd ask you to look into those things and see if maybe at some time that we could, as a commission, we could help you with some type of guidance in the form of an ordinance that would guide people, not punish them.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rourke. Any other questions on this budget item?
Yeah, I do. I would say, Commissioner Rourke, you really gave some really good ideas to this. I only have one little question. Code enforcement officers, if they were to be used, to inspect our garbage, because, sometimes, people that have vegetation, it's not a lot of vegetation, so In fact, I used to put my little vegetation just out there by the curb. And then sanitation says, you need to put this in the garbage because we can't be clawing this little thing. We're not going to come off of our truck to claw this, you know? So I'm just saying that if there happens to be some palm fronds, you know, that's in my garbage or that's down there, I don't want that.
No, and by all means.
You know what I mean?
No, by all means, we have a percentage that we can meet. The county, you know, a solid waste would not, let's say, overcharges for cross-contamination.
Okay.
There is a percentage.
Okay.
It's when the commissioner is mentioning
Yeah,
that
when we
have-
dump a lot of
Yes,
it,
yes.
yeah, okay, because that's not the case in my case. I just didn't want, like, someone, like, to come about and says, this is in there, so now you're in violation because the comments were very good. They were. But I've had situation where it doesn't really necessitate, you know, a claw to come and pick it up, and I know they're not to get off the truck and go and just pick it up. So I just didn't want it to be to the point where it's considered
No,
as.
there is a percentage that
Okay.
we're allowed, yes.
Thank you. But yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Barbara, I think we've exhausted you of all our questions. Again, I want to thank you for the way you've outlined this budget. You know, I got that. The way you've outlined this budget, it's, compared to last year, it's very easy to go through. And Rich, as well, town manager, thank you for being a part of that budget process, as well as all the other staff that have put their parts into the budget. So,
Mayor?
and I'm sure there's more to come.
Mayor,
Yes,
Um,
yes, sir.
I'm going to ask a question. These are not complete budgets. Do we going to leave these for you so that we can keep filling them in? Is what is going to happen?
We would love to keep them.
Right. Okay. So there you go.
Be our pleasure.
No, again, I'm geeking out on this stuff. So
If they're the old ones, Barbara is taking them back.
You can keep your old version so you have your notes, but we can take them as well.
but these are going to grow, right, Barbara?
Sure.
So
So if you return the books, I'll add more departments to them. So we'll have the general fund expenditures, we'll have the public improvement fund, streets and roads, and special projects.
You can either leave your book
You
now
just leave it here.
or return it to us at a later date so we can fill it.
Okay.
So we'll do it both ways either way.
And if you've got prior books, you know, from last budget year or the year before lying around your house, drag them back, because we'll,
Yeah, the folders, yeah.
yeah.
Real quickly, and the intent is to have a second workshop.
Correct.
We'll schedule it probably sometime after the Florida League Conference.
Okay.
So it'll probably be closer to the end of August.
Yeah.
So, and again, I appreciate your patience, and I apologize for any glitches or any of those kinds of things. Barbara is you know, there's a lot of changes that we're trying to make, and we'll get there, and I appreciate all that you're doing and what you've done, and again, our staff, you know, it's a new process for them as well, and they've been fantastic about it as well. So, and thank you all for being patient and working with us on it throughout this process.
Okay.
Thank you.
Before we round out, I do have public comments, and I want to thank you all for being a part of this process. But as you know, public comments are 3 minutes, and I will get these going. Ms. LaFontaine, you're up first.
Mr. Mayor, while Ms. LaFontaine's coming up, can you guys just write your name at the top on
Absolutely.
the front so that way we know who this is?
Absolutely.
Thank you, sorry.
Sure. Hi, Susan LaFontaine on Evergreen Drive. Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity. I respectfully request you include in this new budget money to buy more server memory. There's currently not enough to hold all the town meeting videos. The town clerk and our IT department were super quick to provide me with a copy of a meeting video that I'd requested. But other people might have a problem if they can't get here during business hours to drop off a flash drive, because first you have to bring a flash drive, and then it was less than 10 minutes for me to get a copy, so that was great. But these videos provide accuracy, transparency, accountability. They reduce misinterpretation and misinformation. And when available on the Municode, they're easily accessible to everyone. If no additional money was available, could a hierarchy be developed for what is available on the website? For an example, there's website access to the 2023 budget meetings, but there's no access to the 2024 budget meetings. So that kind of doesn't make sense. There's also access to the Centennial Committee meetings from 2 years ago, but there's not access to commission meetings which within the last 1 year. So if you can't have a bigger server, maybe have someone review what's available. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think I see him today, so I don't think I see him anymore. He might have left. Rafael Moscoso?
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, Ralph didn't have to leave early for his mom's air conditioning broke, and she had to be shepherded to his house. He texted me when I could report to you from the microphone at your pleasure.
Please go ahead. And then I'll segue it to
Good evening from Ralph Moscoso. A couple of questions or a statement or two. First one is, please ask the following. Who is submitting or would submit a request to the state to remove the reverter clause restrictions?
as you know, we cannot answer questions.
No,
on public
that's right,
comment.
you're not answering.
Right.
Second is this commission voting on this request to remove the reverter clause? Is this commission responsible for, in essence, selling our public land for 1.2 mil? And that was all he asked.
And you may continue on because you're the next person up.
Oh, gosh, okay.
And don't worry, I'll look at the time for you.
Pardon me. Michael Steinhauer, 435 Greenbrier Drive. As part of the culture change I think this town is going through, where residents are organized and have a voice, more so than in previous memory, I'm pleased to come to the party, not too late on budget issues, but just in time. Although I am an individual resident, I try to keep my door open to hearing what other residents have to say about the budget issues in general. And a couple of things come up. The first one is regarding the intention for the town regarding salaries. That's aside from the union agreements that we have to keep, but for an improvement in the salaries for commission members, for the town manager and his contract to be settled, not necessarily for department heads, but certainly for public works staff. Public works staff is sweating out there every day, and they deserve the best they could get. Second issue is regarding the award of $10,000 every year for Haitian Flag Day. No one is objecting to, and everyone celebrates, the contribution that the Haitian community makes in this town. At the same time, there have been questions coming up about whether public funds should be utilized for faith-based organizations, the only people that are offering the Flag Day activities. And second, to try to find ways to utilize this money outside of just Flag Day, but to encourage the Haitian community to be baked in to the town's responsibilities and committees and advisory groups, to have more representation about the Haitian community than ever before. And that broader view on our investment of $10,000 is the most important. Lastly, you know I have a personal interest in emergency management funds and scope, and something informal I'm requesting that we could meet. Holy cow about the marina. To hear that there are no clear resident spaces identified in the planning, as was testified earlier by Nadia. To think that there are no financials coming, no start to the building, leads one to believe only that there has been outright mismanagement. If the developer had every intention of buying the 1.2, regardless of what happens on the reverter clause, then he would have done that a long time ago. And if the reverter clause thing is not removed from the state by the town, and the 1.2 is then offered, and you cash that check, it's all over. Careful which checks you deposit, since he apparently has the ability to pay us outside of the reverter clause. That is scary.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening. Katya?
Katya Zhistkova, 1018 7th Street. We looked at the Marina project, the documents, and if we are just looking at Marina without a hotel or anything else, we saw that the town is getting $300,000 up front and $75,000 per year next 10 years. So if it's 99 years lease, it comes to $7,575,000 per year for Marina, for multi-million-dollar asset. I just heard a funny thing. We're getting more for Dunkin' Donuts parking than we're going to be getting for the Marina for 99 years. So it seems more than ridiculous. And talking about legacy, what we are leaving for our children and how we are going to be enjoying in long term the Marina, I think what I heard today was I was losing hope at some point. It was extremely refreshing. I think what we heard from the commissioners today, that's the true wisdom and true leadership. Because there is a wisdom in entering partnerships, right? And we need to look very carefully with whom we are entering partnerships. And there is even more wisdom in terminating partnerships. And it takes courage, it takes guts to do that. So I think it would be a very wise decision not to say goodbye to multi-million-dollar asset that we all share and which is public right now, and to allow it to be a playground for rich and famous, or not that famous. Another thing that I wanted to kind of follow up what Commissioner Thomas said, that she was appalled to see the advertisement of forest development. I assume that's what she meant, and I think I saw the brochure that they're giving to people now. We did the research on forest development. They don't have any other projects to put on their brochures. There is no other project on the internet that you can find that forest development built, no marinas, no hotels, no condominiums, huge condominiums. So they're using these future projects in Lake Park to advertise to people where they want to build. They're doing it out of desperation because they don't have any other projects to show. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Perex.
Pablo Perhax, at 221 East Calmia Drive. I'm a homeowner, a resident, a taxpayer, a voter, and I'm willing to negotiate with you. Give me 10 minutes tomorrow night or 3 tonight. 3 tonight, okay. So I'm going to add to that lawyer. From what I heard tonight, confirms everything I've seen and read about the P3 projects, the 4 leases, the comprehensive agreement, that forest development from day one has not complied with the comprehensive agreement, the terms. They haven't complied with financial statements that are owed to the town. They haven't applied for and received commission approval of changing the timeline. Those two things alone, and I'm not your lawyer, but as a lawyer, indicate to me that Forest Development is in default of that comprehensive agreement. And I'm glad you made the right decision in my mind to stop going forward with the trustees of the Internal Improvement Fund, because my legal opinion on that is that once, well, I heard it from your town attorney here tonight, it's the same as mine, that once, if, and I'm saying don't do it, that the trustees remove all the deed restrictions, and I don't know if anybody's walked out there with their site plan. I have, and looked at what they're going to do. If those deed restrictions are done, the town is stuck with a 99-year lease for which they're getting, as the previous speaker said, about $7,500 a year for the rest of the time. I understand that I have 3 minutes tomorrow because it's on the agenda. Is that correct? We have an agenda tomorrow on this. Is that correct?
That's
I know, just, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Again, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight for this budget workshop. In the nature of business, there's ebb and flows of different comments, different thoughts, different perspectives, but we do business here and we do business right, and we all respect each other at the end of the day when we walk out here and we walk in. So thank you, staff. Thank you, my fellow commissioners.
One last comment with regard to an agenda item we added for tomorrow on our meeting. I would ask that the town manager contact Forest Development and advise them that that item will be on the agenda.
Absolutely. And thank you to our residents as well for being here tonight. Any voice you make is a voice that is well respected and well taken in. So, with that, town attorney comments. And the drum roll is on, and we hear.
I will attempt to get my chauffeur truck driver license.
Thank you very much. Noted and recorded. Town manager.
We'll document that, make sure that's noted.
That's it?
No, I'm just thinking.
Okay. Commissioner comments, anybody? I'm going to leave it open because I'm pretty sure we're all going to see each other again tomorrow night. So I figure the comments tonight will be very light. And with that, as I look across, I will entertain a motion of adjournment.
Motion adjourned.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. See you tomorrow night.